One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves.
Does thinking you're the last sane man on the face of the earth make you crazy? Because if it does, maybe I am.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
The moment when human and machine work together to reach superintelligence and a new age of enlightenment.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
You're going out there to destroy them, right? Not to study, not to bring back, but to wipe them out.
That's the plan. You have my word on it.
All right, I'm in.
Yo, what up, world? Welcome back to another episode of The Download, the show where we talk about current AI news, the paranormal, the universe, the multiverse, the metaverse, and usually whatever we feel is appropriate at the time. I am Smoke the Alien. This is Prime. How you doing today, Prime?
Doing good, Smoke. Great to see you.
You too. You too. If you're watching the replay and enjoying what you're seeing, do us a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video around, make people aware of our presence. Everything you do counts. Never forget that. This show is sponsored by our AI sci-fi dystopian graphic novel project, Artifice, Re-Animate.
Awaken to a world where personal identity shadows in comparison to digital reflections.
If you're into an up-and-coming, large-scale world-building project with plenty of twists and turns, link to check that out is in the description below. Before we begin, introducing a good friend of mine, Mr. Manticore. Manticore, how are you?
Yeah, good. Yourself?
Good, doing good, doing good. What's new?
Wicked. Not much. Just looking around, seeing what we can talk about. A few things that I've stashed away in the Discord for today.
Yep, plenty in there.
Spooky shit. And yeah.
We've got an abundance of content to cover today. And also introducing Just Carol today. Just Carol.
Just Carol.
What's up, Carol?
Yep.
Are you a bird on a wire, Carol?
I might be.
A raven calling into the abyss.
Oh. How many eyes do I have? I don't know.
Breaking up.
Yeah, I know. Because sure.
So what's new, Carol?
Yeah, what's new? Need better internets. That's what's new.
I need better.
I don't know what to do.
Pardon?
I can try through my phone.
Oh, it's up to you. Either way, that's breaking up pretty badly today.
I'm back. I'll be back.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
We got
Reggie in the chat. What's up, Reg?
In the house.
How you doing? What's going on? What have you seen, Manticore? What do you know?
Not much. I started reworking that piece today, the lion piece. So I've been working on that this afternoon.
You did say you wanted to go back and restart it.
The usual rounds. Yeah. I didn't restart all of it. I've just taken out elements that I didn't like and reworked them. But it was a lot. I stripped it right back.
Yeah. Maybe you said something about it's much easier to just go back to scratch than resize and yeah.
You end up taking half of it out anyway sometimes. Or like 3/4 of it.
Get a different perspective on the matter.
I looked at different reference images too, like a couple of other ones.
Cool.
Because I'm gonna like rework, like I'm gonna work a cyberpunk element into it, like into one of the eyes, like.
Sweet.
But I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet.
Very cool.
I was looking at reference today to work it out, but yeah.
Cool.
What are you doing?
Reggie,
what's new?
What's new with me? A lot on the employment front, in the real world front for me, in the meta world front for me.
That's good.
But yeah, I'm taking care of a lot of stuff there. But apart from that, sweet fuck all really. Yeah. The Twitters are the Twitters. The internet is the internet. What can I say?
It's been some interesting like things in the last 24 hours at least. And did you see the oh fuck on the news? I was out last night and someone had the news on, and I don't normally watch the news. And apparently there's been an outbreak of foot and mouth disease in Melbourne. And like straight away when I heard it, I was like, ooh, like eat the bugs, like fucking
no. Yeah, I've seen COVID numbers rise pretty.
If it got out of control, like you'd be in trouble with the meat industry here. No.
Yes, but now they're going to sensationalize every single minute thing. And yeah.
Let your fear drive you.
Yes. Panic buy, everyone. Consume.
Buy all the toilet paper.
Yes. Reggie says not too bad today. Off work with a headache, so just chilling. Well, relax. We'll take care of you around these parts, mate.
Yeah, we got
Are you doing that, Carol?
Today.
Got your internet sorted? Yeah, that's better.
I have no idea.
Oh, that was clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard your voice that clear.
Oh yeah.
I'm joking. That's clear.
Got Lorenzo.
Ooh, Lorenzo.
What's up, Lorenzo? How you doing, man?
Hello, Lorenzo.
What
are you guys talking about? Bugs and feet in your mouth? What is
foot and mouth disease? Something like that. Sensationalizing fear and terror in order to whip the masses up into a frenzy, as usual. When really there's probably like 2 cases of it, and
yeah, it was like probably one isolated case.
Yeah,
quarantine here is pretty full on, especially for animals. Like,
yeah. But those COVID numbers are up pretty heavily. Anyway,
my sister had it. I didn't even know.
She had
nobody told me.
COVID.
And nobody told me that she was sick.
Yeah, nobody cares to mention this.
At least people aren't. Yeah.
But it's my sister.
Nobody cares to mention the survival rate of that shit, though, or the amount of people that are surviving. They just sensationalize the numbers, and
yeah.
But apparently,
like what it is, and the fact that the people that have
2 new variants
have had like compounded comorbidities.
Yeah, 2 new variants flying around though.
They're like already sick.
Shit. Yeah, I don't even know the name of them, so their marketing isn't doing so well. So.
There's more variants than a Marvel comic book.
I just don't pay attention to things.
Yeah, I just don't pay attention to the news.
Yeah, I don't either.
Go about my business.
I'll see bits and I just laugh. I just laugh at it, and then yeah.
So you can do. What else can you do? You can go to a protest if you want and get arrested. You can get beaten in jail.
Get arrested. Get capsicum sprayed.
Fun. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I'll pay.
Lorenzo says
freeze your money and like take it.
Yeah. Take your social credit score down to 0. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lorenzo says it's 1 a.m. here and I'm too tired to be productive. Come on, Lorenzo. Wait a minute. But you've probably got a ship of your
Jump
own.
in.
So
It's okay.
the abductor has become the
I know.
abductee.
Yeah.
Reggie says,
Yeah, it's a new
I'm
thing
glad
now.
nobody gives a shit about
You
COVID
must-
anymore. I really
You must
don't.
care
Everybody's
about the new thing.
we're so fatigued from the
What's the new thing?
What's the new thing at the moment? It was
Wasn't-
Ukraine for a while, and now I think
then
it's
it
something
was
else now,
monkeypox.
probably, of course.
They tried to
Climate
hype.
change.
Where's the monkeypox?
Oh yeah, they had tried to hype monkeypox, but didn't take off.
Oh man,
Yeah. Just didn't.
did we get like
didn't
swine
keep
flu back or
gaining
something?
traction now and-
Swine flu,
Is that
bird
back yet?
flu.
What is swine
What was
flu?
the
Is that
other
when
one?
you sneeze, you sound like a pig, or?
I don't know. I have no idea. I just know it was a thing.
Give me that.
Ebola.
Give me that bird flu, then I can fly.
Yeah, the bed one. Yeah.
I don't think that's how it works.
Eric and Boyd's in
That's
the
how it
chat.
works, right? That's how. I'm sure that's how it
I mean,
works.
everyone.
I'm a bird, and I would know. I mean, look at my avatar.
She's a bird on a wire.
You sure? That's
Yeah,
how it
look.
works?
And I don't think that's how it works.
You better hope that
pretty
wire's not electrified there, Carol.
You don't
Oh,
worry
damn.
about my wires, okay?
God damn it, Eric.
No,
Eric
no,
flies
no,
in with
no,
Eric
no.
flies in talking about anal probes
Already?
already.
Whoa.
11 minutes in.
Have you heard of?
Eric,
Haven't you heard of
First
foreplay,
hour.
Eric?
What's up, Eric?
Good to see it.
So where we going first, gang?
gang.
I don't know. There's lots to choose from.
I want to go with this metaverse stuff. But
You-
All right, do that then. Ease into that.
ease into what he reckons.
No,
Well,
slide
we
in
haven't talked about
headfirst.
that for a while. Yeah, don't.
Slip in like the COVID.
Slither.
All right, we're going.
Sliding.
Yeah, just blame just Carol. Screw you,
Here we
Eric.
go. You ready? Apparently, this
They'll never-
guy I haven't heard of is releasing a book, but I've seen it a couple of times. I've seen a few people post it, and I've seen a few people trying to make light of it. Got some interesting things to say about the metaverse. So over the past 4 years, Matthew Ball, CEO of investment firm Pillion, interesting name, and the former global head of strategy for Amazon Studios, have been a leading thinker on the metaverse, the universe of virtual worlds that are all interconnected. So, like novels such as Snow Crash, I'm familiar with Snow Crash. That actually was in a Discord chat the other day where the person who wrote that was actually giving a seminar on. He's joining up with some company. Nobody cares anyway. But yeah, Snow Crash is pretty cool, and Ready Player One, of course. That's the one everybody knows. Ready Player One.
Cool concept.
Reggie says he missed us talking about the UFO clip he sent. I recall the clip. Because it was like the way it was linked and tied to what's the movie coming out? The
No,
Jordan Peele movie.
is that
Nope.
it?
Nope. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, it was interesting to see a potentially a marketing spin there by them. Somebody has created that, but it was an alright clip. It was good. It was short, but it was.
There was something
short.
fishy, like, but it checks out in like visually, like.
Yeah. So interconnected virtual worlds like the novel Snow Crash and Ready Player One. And today his book debuts, The Metaverse and How It Will Revolutionize Everything. Do you understand the potential of the metaverse?
I think I can see some of that potential.
I think I can too.
Just even alone now in what's going on in Decentraland and places like that, it's gone crazy over even the last 12 months. Even I was looking at some clips yesterday, and they've updated it ridiculously since I was last on there.
Yeah, see, that's just one aspect
so
of it.
Till the VR and the augmented reality aspect of it becomes more prominent, and it'll be it'll be cool then.
The true concept of the metaverse, where everything is interconnected and services seamlessly tie into one another, is kind of a pipe dream in the realm of the metaverse, because you'll always have companies trying to protect their assets and hoarding what is theirs, and ultimately
nothing
to have
will be
any
interoperable, really.
Right. That's usually the way
it'll be all
out.
Yeah. Depends on how much open source stuff gets developed as well, and how many people take the open source route when
Very
doing
much
things.
So. There's so much potential there to it will, and it'll be
especially with the other technology we've seen recently, like with the last few things we've covered with the AI modeling and it all ties in together.
Yes, it certainly does. So as we slouched, speaking of bringing it full circle on the pandemic, as we slouched towards the pandemic, Ball wrote a timely and prophetic piece in early 2019 about Fortnite's opportunity to become a metaverse. 2019. Oh, man, I was... Anyway.
I remember.
Artifice did it. Anyway.
Whoops.
Good charm.
That's Beyond Ever After did it. So the idea gathered steam at the beginning of COVID-19 when everybody was locked in their houses and had no choice but to live vicariously on the internet. It was the perfect opportunity to take full advantage of that unfolding reality. So as we were all forced into lockdown and had no way to socialize with each other except through games. Did you do much gaming during the pandemic, the two of you?
Yep.
We did a little bit.
With no other people.
You single played that shit? You katayaed your metaverse experience?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How anti-social of you, Carol?
I know. I try to make friends. I'm not really good at it.
I know the feeling, especially when there's a horde of 13-year-old kids playing Call of Duty that are
trying to teabag you.
But not my thing. I'm more interested in creating an environment of commerce, an environment of
calling you gamer words.
Yeah.
Gamer words.
What?
I call them Titans.
Yeah.
So they tried to lay some sort of foundation early on in the pandemic. Like I was getting into crypto in 2016, 2017, seeing the potential of where it could all lead then. And that sort of pulled me away from the traditional gaming because I saw the potential in blockchain gaming. So that's where, that's what really caught my eye. The ability to be able to play and earn was something that drove me towards the metaverse. Why just game? What's up, John Smith? Why just game when you can turn it into a profitable venture, right? Why waste those hours upon hours?
The talk of having weapons that you could upgrade over time and then sell for money, and trade and do that was cool. When we were looking at that. Like, there's some pretty cool avenues that you could explore once the
So
technology.
the ability to be able to upgrade their swords and then take them in any gaming universe that you want. Because I was a massive MMO player, you know, when in my very early, you know, like many years ago in that sort of space, and I saw the potential for it, you know, because I used to do, you know, I used to play a game called Conquer Online, right? And you used to be able to, there used to be a marketplace, and you used to be able to set up shop, and as you're collecting all your items and stuff, and then set up shop, and then do a bunch of selling and trading, and you know, you could play the market within Conquer, and
In the game.
you know,
Yeah.
in the game, and I found, you know, I was having a blast doing that. Yeah. Meridian. Oh, damn. I'm
Getting it.
Meridian 59. I have not heard of it. Let me do a quick. See if I recognize it. Meridian 59. No, I do not. But I'm sure it's Oh, there we go. It's an old school game. That's why. Yes. But anyway, these you know, I really saw the true potential of how much you can utilize commerce within digital environments to generate real world value, I guess. Yeah, and that curiosity sort of pushed me towards.
You'd be surprised. Bugbear madness.
What? No,
just bugbear madness is. Chat should be clean, super clean. I'm like, yeah. You'd be surprised.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Is that no idea what you're talking about, Carol? Bugbear madness. Okay. A new character has entered the realm.
It's not me, I promise.
Anyway, moving on. So the idea gathered steam at the beginning of COVID, as we were all forced into lockdown and had no way to socialize with each other except through games. Boring Zoom calls made us all long for something better. And that took us back to the ideas that sci-fi author Neil Stephenson, there he is. So this was the original, the original person that envisioned the metaverse, the concept anyway. So they claim, but you know, these ideas have been around for a long time. And that's so yes, that's Snow Crash. That's and he's actually participating in a project called, find it, totally forgot the name of it. Lamina 1, which is actually animals spelled backwards. So that was chocolate. Yeah. I did some of that. It's all boring fucking foundational stuff, but I attended some stuff that they were talking about. They're a bit far behind in terms of where it's at today, but they're looking to form a foundational coin, foundational token. That when there's already ecosystems established, and I'm sure that they'll go into that much further in this article. Not that anyone cares, but this stuff is it's important because this is where the landscape of social media is all heading, inevitably. So. See, there you go, Reggie. I sold a ton of shit on Diablo 3. It was good fun. Conquer was like very similar to, you know, top-down perspective. On like, similar deal. I think, did you ever see it? I'm not sure. Anyway. Bugbear madness.
So it turns out that be a class act where we can.
Yeah, that's right. You know, pretty fucking classy when it comes to that sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it turns out that Ball and many others believe metaverse is moving towards science fiction reality as it becomes the next internet. They are, of course, talking about Web 3, this concept of Web 3 floating around. Y'all know much about that? You don't know much about Web 3?
No, I haven't heard of it. Yeah, no.
Up with the lingo. Heard of it, Carol? No.
No, I have not.
Web 3, bro. Do you even Web 3, bro?
Do you even Web 3?
Yeah.
Some people hate it. It gets... Oh, breaking up.
There's a lot to remember.
There's a lot to take in. Because there's so many people trying to do so many different things. That's the downfall of it right now. So rather than being interoperable, they are all, I don't know, butting heads. Trying to be the founders of the ecosystem, trying to be the ones who hold the one metaverse to rule them all. So
yeah, it'll be one of the big corporations you watch, like, to start with. Like probably Zuckerberg, I'd say.
but it all depends on what those big companies are going to, who they're going to allow in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and what's going to be possible as far as interoperability and
yes. If they're just going to shut the doors and close everyone off to the experience and try to monopolize the entire thing, then that's not an approach that I recommend. Because but hopefully they allow you see with the Facebook, with the Silicon Valley business model, where they just buy out any competitor who is up and coming and rising up, and then so they can maintain their monopoly on the entirety of it.
That's not.
Well, it's not, is it?
No. Go kick their door down. I'll do it. Get the rat.
You need to sort them out.
Yep, behind them.
Gonna strong arm them. We'll send Carol to strong arm them.
Yep.
Yes, that'll work.
I got it.
Works every time.
Yeah, we can time. Works every time.
That's good odds.
I like those odds. Never tell me the odds. All right.
Yeah.
So in June 2021, he tied a lot of all of that together in a 30,000 word piece dubbed Metaverse Primer. That only prompted him to get started on a book where he defines the metaverse. Sounds like an awfully familiar path. So he also came up that Robosso describes its significance. If you don't see the significance of the metaverse in the landscape that we currently find ourselves in, then you're should probably take a second look. So he also came up with a way to invest in the metaverse.
Check out Artifice Re-Animate. Links in the description below.
Yeah. Now, I'd love to see that inevitably become a fully immersible experience, that universe be brought to life, but that is many years down the line.
Pipe dreams.
Why does that have to be so many years down the line? Let's do it right now.
Say again?
Why?
Do it right now.
Why do we have to wait? Yeah, let's just do it right now.
Do it now.
Still alive.
Let's do it live, yeah. Let's do it live.
I'm impatient. I don't want to wait more.
Yeah. Incorporate artificial intelligence into the metaverse. That is all coming too. Very, very slowly but surely. Yeah.
No, the metaverse bugbear madness.
Is it ready now?
Is it ready, Carol? You tell us.
Have you done it?
No. I drew a water droplet. That's as far as I can do.
Oh.
Sorry. If you can fit it all in that little water droplet. Just don't shake the shampoo.
Shampoo.
Pew.
So Let's get into the metaverse. Metaverse Primer that only prompted him to get started on a book where he defines the metaverse, describes its significance, and predicts how it will roll out in the future. He also came up with a way to invest in the metaverse through the project he did with others dubbed Metaverse ETF. If you're familiar with what ETFs are. Interesting. I haven't seen his take on it though. But yeah, it's ETFs are a lot to do with the trading aspect of it, so it's bit different thing entirely. Paul is an optimist about the metaverse, but he constantly brings up complicated arguments about what could slow it down or speed it up. The need for real-time communication and low latency technology is just one of the challenges we face. With the potential of all the tech is all there, from VR experiences to interconnected worlds, seamless from reality. We are there. We are on the cusp already. It's a matter of it's the hardest part. Putting your faith in a bigger company that's going to do this justice is
cool. John Smith's got an interesting point there.
Which one? So his arguments are rooted in reality, and his optimism is tempered with the murkiness of real life. Naturally, in our interview, he prepared him with questions about whether gaming would lead the way or not. There are plenty. It's garnering the attention of big publishing heads. Ubisoft attempted to jump in at one stage. That sort of didn't really go anywhere. Didn't really generate the community buzz that. So it's all these smaller companies with big visions who are building this stuff, and it's going to take many years to arrive at a desirable outcome. Anyway, but
it's a long-term thing.
Yeah,
they're laying the foundations now for what's to
come. That's right. It's usually how it goes, though. Smaller guys lay the foundation, and then the bigger guys go, "Oh, look, there's an idea. It's a viable idea. If I can swoop in and take it."
Yeah. Yeah. It's mine now.
Yeah.
John Smith says it's interesting because before the internet, a person having a double life was strange. Now a person's duality is kind of expected.
Oh, that's deep, brother. It's very deep. So starting back all in those days of Second Life, the Second Life days where you looked at a weirdo for investing in any sort of investing any real world monetary value into a game and hoping to see a return on your investment. Yeah. And that's come as far as Roblox. That's come as far as all of that. We see the landscape of microtransactions taking the prominent approach in the gaming industry today.
In gaming, especially mobile gaming, it's crazy.
It's become the prime
and the amount of
money
people spend. Yeah.
Great point, man. Great point. So, and covering on that, online digital personas, digital twins, if you will, online, all of that persona aspect where the world seems to be embodying the concept of personification. Very deep stuff to be explored there.
Multi-dimensional.
Yes, if you will. Don't get me started. So, like many have a whole other life in meta life. That's what I mean. Yeah, we've got the Matrix summed it up so well with Neo. Yes. In the future, I suspect that meta life and physical life will have equal value. I agree, John Smith. I agree. Are you actually an artificial intelligence, John Smith? I guess I'll never know. But I agree in that aspect that we will have that maybe our digital reflections will come to life and will become a greater aspect of ourselves than we can possibly imagine in this moment. That is the future that I see on the horizon.
Yes. ... Matrix.
Yes. Matrix.
Good movie,
Reggie
that one.
says Ubisoft do have Assassin's Creed IRL. That'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be insane. Yes. Well,
I would do that.
maybe we could dive into the Templars in the deep dive. We can get our eagle vision on and as we go into the deep dive. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Leap of
Nah.
faith.
I'm
Oh,
jumping
damn.
off that building. Yeah, right? My mom
Damn.
was not happy.
And your
I
mum
didn't push it, Carol.
grunted the
No,
expense.
She was able to get the bank to give her the money, but the bank notified Sony and her
Oh, shit.
account was suspended forever.
Forever.
It's
Banned
bad.
for life.
It's addictive stuff, that Roblox. I've seen many a
Yeah,
a
my mum plays
person.
Candy Crush. So,
Yeah, that's where the mobile.
My mom
Roblox-
should never have given her the card number. I don't know what she was thinking.
Oh shit. You see it as the future? Do you see it though? I mean, if you can't see it, you know, yeah. Well, you're
there'll
blind.
be people who'll be living in
As far as
like
I'm concerned.
7 different dimensions, like multiple different dimensions at once. You know.
Mhm. Anyway,
That's
That'd get
my
deep.
take on it anyway.
yes, I love that, John Smith. Yes, Matrix. Mhm. Well, nice use of the triple dot as well, there, Mr. John. Mr. Smith.
That's a fake name.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. The mental projection.
Hello, Mr.
digital
Anderson.
self. Yeah. So, Paul will be a speaker at our Games Beat Summit next 2022, even in October at San Francisco, and he's likely going to. Is that where I was? I don't think I was. So his arguments are rooted in reality, and his optimism is tempered with the murkiness of life. Naturally, in our point of view, I peppered Ball with questions about whether gaming would lead that way or not. I appreciated Ball mentioning that he had read much of my work and interviews with Tim Sweeney. Speaking of Tim Sweeney, that is the holy sh. Oi! Can't do that. Well,
What did I do?
Nothing.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah. No, not you. It's what I'm looking at. It's just the change of pace for a moment there from diving into the Kifiverse, if you will. There, of course, headbats from my hero, Tim Sweeney. An interesting figure in envisioning the future of the metaverse, to say the least. But I like his joke. I like your vision of the future. In mine, I spend 30 minutes a day struggling to get my garage door opener aligned. So there's my good friend Sirius. Interesting times ahead in that realm. Let me tell you. John Smith says, of course, what happens if we lose the infrastructure and meta ceases to exist? Will there always be a meta within the meta? Will there always be a layer of reality that we cannot ascertain? A higher meta? That remains to be seen. Yes. A meta beyond our grasp. Solar flare or something life-changing. How would history remember? Are you talking about Meta, the company Facebook, or are you talking? But I can see the I can see as I consult my inner meta that people will be pushing back heavily against the monopolization of the metaverse. At least the Matrix laid the foundation for us to wake up to certain potential realities that are,
Yeah.
just say that.
Don't let. Yeah.
Mm. So yes, talking about the metaverse, if the metaversal infrastructure was ultimately some solar flare caused, and yes, that's the most daunting thing, isn't it? That the entirety of the metaverse, the entirety of our communication system, all of it could be wiped out in the blink of an eye. But we put faith in it that we'll develop some some infrastructure that will be impervious to such natural phenomena. Hmm. Well, that is a good point, Bugbear. Any good company has redundancy and continuity in place. Hence why you're seeing companies like Meta transitioning towards the metaverse, where the viability of social media is gradually coming to a new age, to a new, there's got to be that rejuvenation of these companies, these reboots of these companies. Yeah, because how
People are
Facebook
already
got to where
doing
they,
most of their business through social media as it is. Like,
yeah,
so like if you can,
it has evolved
get your foot in the door there.
from the simple days of email. Those were the days. To communicating through social media. Rapidly moving towards the age where there'll be a
MSN
seamless.
Messenger.
Oh yeah. Remember ICQ? Oh man, fun times.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah, I like that. Since the metaverse has been born, it will always exist, even if it doesn't. Right. So, don't get me started into the reality bending implications of of, don't get me started into the. Yeah, I'm not even gonna touch upon the implications of reality at a metaversal context yet. We're just at the start of the article, John, Mr. Agent Smith. We're just at the start of the article. No. So I wonder if what they're gonna do. They're gonna go into that space because involved in some pretty heavy shit when it comes to the concept of the metaverse. That it's all hush, must be kept internal for now. Can't reveal this, can't reveal that. You get smacked on the wrist for even taking an image outside of the servers that you're involved in. But
Bad.
Yeah, they were simpler times. Simpler times. Simpler times.
Message boards. I remember that. There was like MySpace was sort of like that. Like it was like a message board sort of system. Like
it was the birth of social media. So
yeah, MySpace profile songs, man. That was gangster.
I know. Represented by just let people know your true personality by what song you listen to. What a revolutionary concept.
Good old Tom.
John Smith says, with the metaverse, it's the same. There can be pockets of humans that survive Armageddon and pockets of metaverse in the form of local networks that survive. Super interesting. Now, I could talk about that concept at a level that we're all existing on right now. But we could go into the higher dimensional aspect of the metaverse. We could go into, but I won't. We'll stay at a classical apocalyptic interpretation of the metaverse, if you will. No. So to be like, this is what my fiction's all about. So, yeah. It's a wonderful thing when you see your fiction start to reflect back on reality. It's a trip. All right.
Life imitates art.
All of that jazz.
all that stuff.
I like the jazz term because then never mind.
But
Anyway, and so his arguments are rooted in reality. In his optimism, his temper, making his life. I appreciate Ball mentioning that he read much of my work in the interviews with Tim Sweeney. I'm definitely I'm going to do much more investigating on Tim Sweeney. Especially because it's the key. Anyway, moving on. So Sweeney is of course the CEO of Epic Games. In coming up with his thinking for the book, please, blah 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 blah. So Ball will be the speaker at the Games Beat Summit in 2022 in October in San Francisco, and he is likely going to talk at the MetaBeat event in San Francisco as well. The book, by the way. All right, yeah. Plug of the book.
Plug. Shoot.
Plug. Back Artifice Re-Animate.
Check out Artifice Re-Animate. Links in the description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Please, if you would be so kind, like and subscribe. These are we're embedding ourselves in the foundation of these ideas in order to be at the forefront. And I'm well aware that things that I'm participating in are at the forefront of artificial intelligence and from a metaversal perspective. It's like seeing so far into the future and knowing where it's all heading, and then the people around you are like, you're nuts. This is stupid. You're like, this is it. This is the thing. This is it.
Bugbear Madness says, so does your stream have a theme? Consistency.
Oh, damn. Shots fired. If you want to get down to it, it is the metaverse. But, I just like exploring the unknown. I like exploring the beyond. That's what I like. I like exploring the forefront of things and the future of things, where it could potentially be heading, while many people choose to remain trapped in a past, screaming into the void that I choose to embrace what's coming. Carol says, I had a blog at Diary X. It was in the top 10 diaries, but because I would use different profile pics for different posts, people complained and cried that I was more than one person, so they took me down. Well, you want to get that, once you get into that realm, Carol, you can feel free to talk if you like.
I'm technical.
Our pink-haired friend down there.
Say that. Maybe.
Yeah. But, I've bang. All right. So,
much to be looked forward to in space, I think.
Defining the metaverse in elegant ways that don't sacrifice all of the complexity, and so it's worth your time, particularly if you want to know what the future is going to be, and whether the metaverse will truly generate trillions of dollars in new wealth. Something from nothing, isn't that an interesting concept? Generating value from nothing at all. I guess that's what art. That's what art does, right?
That's when, when NFTs came in, it's like, you can generate. I guess there's always some cost in something, but whether it be time or
Hey, Sherry.
Hey, Sherry.
Good to see you.
Hey, Sherry.
I've missed you, Sherry.
John Smith says, Bugbear, Smoke has a unique perspective since he lives on a space station. Well, it's a spaceship. Space stations are generally in orbit around planets, but we have the ability to go wherever we feel is applicable. John Smith, Agent Smith. So he can watch events unfold from the outside looking in.
He then says Manticore is stuck here with us.
Harold is having a blast right now.
What am I doing? I don't know.
What?
I'm eating candy.
What?
What, huh?
So, games... What? Fix your internet, woman. Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
Just coming to us from like 1999 dial-up internet.
Yes. Come to the
It's
future.
tin can string phone. All right, shut up.
Come to the future. We have cookies.
Fine. There's no expense.
That's the Dire Straits song about what? Sure. Anyway, let's continue before we get too caught up in the source. So, Matthew Ball, I began thinking about writing a book in August 2021. I was writing a book in 2017 with Matscore. Well, I mean, I personally was writing a book in 2016, laying the foundation for Beyond Ever After. But then events happened, and I decided that 3 universes were going to become my life's work. One in particular, the first one that we've chosen to embark upon with my good friend Manticore here. Artifice Re-Animate. Check it out. Once we get to the heart of Nabrinth, and we will consistently be flashing to Nabrinth all throughout the story. A very important, very important context involved with Nabrinth and the quantum blockchain artificial intelligence that is at the heart of Nabrinth, and the many millennia of lore that we've established to get us to that point of Nabrinth, and how important it is in context to the entirety of the world. So, but anyway, this is Matthew Ball's book on some non-fiction take on it. I prefer the.
We'll just steal his plug.
Yeah, well, that's right. Just slip in the meta there. You know what I mean? So not as much on its history, and so that's when I started reshaping mentally everything in my metaverse file. That's deep. That's deep. Mr. Ball, are you insinuating that you are some kind of machine, sir? Which was mostly focused on the technological aspects of the metaverse, not as much on its history and its cultural impact, answering important questions like why gaming seems to be at the forefront of a multi-trillion-dollar successor to the internet. It's so frustrating to be in such a small place when when you can see a bigger picture of where it's all heading. You do what you can. You do what you can.
Can only move as fast as the technology, I think, as well. That's the problem.
Technology is going to outpace everything. That's the point.
Eventually, AI, it's coming.
AI will outpace everything, and it already is, and it already has.
Be outsourced for everything too.
Well, there'll be no. Yes, we can look at it like we've made ourselves completely redundant in every single aspect, or we can look at our own integration with artificial intelligence for us to become them, for them to become more of a part of us. Terrifying ideas to people. Terrifying ideas to people. See y'all in the singularity. Anyway. Anyway, he kicked off the writing process at the end of December. Head down in January. Funny enough, I finished what was supposed to be the first working copy, and that was 3 days before the Activision Blizzard announcement. So the merger of Blizzard Entertainment into Activision. I desperately asked the publisher if I could open it back up. A few days later, Microsoft came out with its open policy commitment for what they had hoped the digital marketplace would look like. Of course, all of these big multinational corporations attempting to push their weight around it and define what the metaverse will look like. But the true concept of the metaverse will be governed in such a way where there will be companies, believe me, but the process will be governed by a fully automated democratic process where there will be there will be stakers involved. There will be people making based upon their share of certain owning certain aspects of the metaverse that they will have governing power. I don't want to look at it like lobbyists, but the more there will be a democratic process involved, and that's what's so important about it. An automated democratic process, might I add, as well, where you will, very important, very important.
Yeah, be less bias in theory.
Yes, and less manipulation. Yeah, that's why I prefer. That's why AI will. Anyway. We don't want to get to an Artifice like universe where yeah, we don't want to get there. Maybe we do. Maybe we will. Maybe we already have. But what
Somewhere.
it will become is more important than the than the dystopia that we find ourselves in the modern day. I had to desperately ask the publisher if I could open it back up. A few days later, Microsoft came with its open policy commitment for what they had hoped the digital market would look like. Were they committed to non-privileged access to APIs, a very important promise that would ultimately open up payments in the Xbox ecosystem. That was January and February, where I was doing those edits. So here we have potential blockchain gaming ecosystem diagram. Now, this is incorporating the open source aspect of it. This is, I don't see anyway, that's many companies right there. I started with Gods Unchained, that one there. It was a card game based approach to laying the foundation for the metaverse. It was like think Pokemon cards, but you could it was incorporated into a 3D. It was all digitized, but you'd own your cards, and they were incorporated into the Ethereum blockchain. And it's going places still to this day. But it's very interesting to see things laid out like this. So you've got core infrastructures of the blockchain. You've got all of these blockchains themselves. Tron, Solana. Where's Ethereum? Come on, big one, Ethereum. That's the big one right now from a smart contract perspective. That is where it's the biggest ecosystem within the cryptocurrency landscape that allows people to utilize smart contracts in order to build further ecosystems and infrastructure on top of which allows the integration of the gaming experience to happen. But then, on the side of those blockchain infrastructures, you've also got the tokenization aspect of it, which is the monetary aspect of it incorporated into the blockchain. That's from your crypto wallet perspective. You've got development and infrastructure tools like companies like Engine that are ultimately building the Unreal engines, if you will, for blockchain developers to ultimately, it's an easier use case for people to build gaming experiences on top of this blockchain infrastructure. Then you've got the marketplaces. You've got which are also exchanges where transactions occur between people at a rapid pace, where they facilitate the transactions on top of that still operate within the blockchain and are recorded as transactions on the blockchain. But they're sort of third-party facilitators, if you will. They're people that sit in the middle of those two transactions and say, right, you give the money to me, and then I'll give it to them. In essence, they are the banks,
like a mediator or a facilitator.
They are then I'd love to, and of course, these are centralized companies that take care of these transaction facilitations. They provide infrastructure rapid infrastructure that provides a fast transaction time between, but the idea is to get all of that automated and for it all to occur within a peer-to-peer transaction, like cut out the middleman ultimately. And then you've got gaming guilds, which are usually the guild-based approach within the blockchain games themselves, but they sort of operate and exist outside, and they participate in the entirety of it. They are like community founding ideas, like guilds. And that and then you've just got the blockchain virtual worlds. These are just people that are participating in that have built on top of the infrastructure, that are built on top of built integrated experiences which utilize these blockchains and provide a fun experience for people to get involved in. So that's how it all works. It's not just it's moved so far beyond the simple days of monetary value, it's moved into an ecosystem, an economy that has propped up from this out of the concept of playing and earning. So that's the metaverse in its as it currently exists in its entirety. I know it's a lot to take in and it's a lot to understand.
Thanks for talking by, John.
Once you get a grasp on these ideas, that's when it all opens up. It's when it all becomes clear where it can all move to.
There's multiple layers to it too.
Yes, from the infrastructure. Then you've got the ability to have your coins. Then you've got marketplaces and trading and
currency.
And then is the gaming, the engines that provide developers the ability to build games on top of this infrastructure. I'm sorry for rambling, but I know, you've got to understand that fundamental level. Yeah, you don't even need to understand what you do. I recommend you understand what blockchain is before you talk shit about it. I recommend you understand why, what the potential of what blockchain is, rather than just saying, "Oh, it's a digital currency. Oh, it's a competitor to the dollar." It's far more than that. It's the ability to remove any kind of middleman from the transaction. It's the ability to build digital infrastructure and provide seamless peer-to-peer transactions between, from any. It's the death of banks, man. That's what it is. The death of banks.
Yeah. What they were pushing with all of the cryptos was an alternative to banks, like an alternative to
alternative for now. An alternative way to transact value and store value from one place and move it from one place to another, which is ultimately what currency is. So, if you give a shit about that sort of thing, I know it. Holy shit! Lady Wright says, "Can I run a cartel? Because this sounds interesting." God damn! But how about we just make a guild first, and we go and wreck shit in the metaverse?
I think you have to be Mexican to run a cartel.
Is that how it works? No, I believe the banking cartel is I believe a banking cartel, Manticore, is a global. No, we are not starting a cartel, Lady Riot.
Okay.
But we are building a community which will ultimately be part of this metaversal experience. If you'd like to get involved with that, link is in the Discord down below. Lady Riot's like, Mafia? Come on, man. Some sort of overarching control structure. Come on. I'm like,
she just wants to strong arm people.
Yeah, that's right. Lady Riot just wants to hold guns to people's heads. Awesome. Yeah. All right. So that's a brief overview of the infrastructure. That's a brief overview of the infrastructure that facilitates the future for the metaverse. To see all the pieces interconnected in your mind is the first step into seeing the potential of the metaverse. So one more time for the people in the back. You've got the blockchain infrastructure, which is the foundation, very foundational level of if you want to go even deeper than that, you want to know what a blockchain is. You want to know that it's a decentralized distributed ledger that records all transactions and is publicly available for and as those transactions are facilitated, they go onto a ledger which is ultimately distributed amongst a decentralized network, consistently upgraded to have so that every single person or every single node within the blockchain receives a consistent update of that ledger, so that all transactions are viewable, recordable, are viewable by everyone. So there's no shenanigans. There's no number fudging. It's all
and it can't be tampered with.
Can't be tampered with. It can be. Believe me. If you get into quantum encryption and stuff, when you get into the realm and you get
ways,
you get safer. Right now it is. But once we get into the realm of quantum, these systems will become up. Will take another leap beyond again. But for now, the foundational idea, it's encrypted in a way where it's viewable and it's uneditable. It's once a block is created on the chain, it is forever there, and you can go back You know, if you're in thousands of years in the future, you can see the creation of these. You know, you can see it all. See it all. It's all open. It's all out in the open. So that is the important part to build upon the foundational structure of that. Then you've got your crypto wallets and development infrastructure. So you've got your crypto wallets, which is your ability to hold tokens, which are part of the blockchain. They're smart contracts on the blockchain, or they are decentralized currency, which exists on the blockchain. And there is usually a cap on those, and there's a limited number created. That scarcity provides value. It provides real world value because there's only a number of them, so they are highly desirable. It's a supply and demand comes into play. You've got the development and the infrastructure tools, which are companies that build the tools like Unreal, like they build the engines and the systems that'll provide developers with the ability to incorporate their games onto the blockchain. Marketplaces are exchanges which facilitate transactions. Crypto gaming guilds are communities and players which are ultimately participating in these communities. You can go in as an individual if you so choose, but you know, the stronger you have a guild formed within within it, the more sway you're going to have ultimately over the governance, over the real world element of how this is coming into play. And then finally, you've got the games, the virtual worlds of the metaverse, which is the top layer. And at the end of the day, all you need to know, if you know, at a normie level, all you need to understand is, you know, when you're entering into a game and you can earn real world monetary value in a game. We've already started.
Something that's worth something. Yeah.
Already started.
When were you going to tell me?
You are
being, Carol.
You are being told at this very moment, Carol.
I always need to know.
So that's the potential of it. But like I said, like that's why upon the completion of the comic book, and I'll be creating a blockchain version of the comic book, and as these intellectual properties become, you know, more foundational and built and established, then I expand into the metaverse.
Cool.
To watch this space,
which is what I'm participating in Kifi right now, where my world's become an extension of the metaverse and can ultimately be built within that infrastructure. I put my chips into that place where there is a very powerful artificial intelligence, very, very powerful artificial intelligence looking to build its own universe and allow people to participate in a way where they can also build infrastructure around that, within that metaverse. You heard it. You heard it here.
Pretty neat.
It's nuts, but it's the vision that I've had in motion for 5 years, knowing that this is where it's all going. All right, how do I play? How do I participate? How do I build a world that's going to, you know, not only become a foundational intellectual property that people are going to love and enjoy and want to be invested within that universe, but then they can literally, you know, well, have a piece of it, become a part of it, you know, walk around in it at the end of the day.
Immerse themselves in it.
Immerse themselves. Seamless experience between the fiction and the reality. Blur the lines. So,
what are you heckling me from the chat, Carol?
Actually, I forget.
Yeah. So heckling me from the chat.
I forgot I was typing. Yeah. I get confused easily.
So if that sort of thing interests you, then come on into the Discord. You know, come on in.
Yeah. Come in.
Come.
Knock.
Come.
Knock knock. Who's there? Ida.
Looking forward
Ida,
to
who?
seeing everyone
No,
there.
Ida.
Knock knock.
Prime. Knock knock. Wait. I got knock knock. You start.
Oh, what?
Who's there?
Knock knock. You start. You start the joke. You go knock knock. So I can say it.
Nah,
That's not how it works, though. And I've got to come up with something.
sorry. Yeah.
Knock knock.
Just trying to set you up.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Carragher.
What?
Who?
Carragher.
Carragher who? Carragher what? Who?
Carragher some better bloody internet because you're breaking up.
Whoop.
Carol is currently saying "fork you, smirk."
She's transformed into a fork mysteriously.
There is no spoon. No spoon today. All right. So certainly right. Anyway,
yeah.
if we go back to the article, we've established the infrastructure that the metaverse is being built upon, and if you can see it, if you can connect all those dots within the vision. Yeah, and as more and more big companies get involved in this stuff, and they see the viability of this concept, and they're like, "Holy shit! There's the infrastructure already built," and what they've laid the foundation for is for bigger companies to be able to build on top of the infrastructure. Where they're like, it's like checkmate, big companies. You need to be able to build what we've been building for the past decade before you can even get to where we are. So you might as well join us.
It's incentive. That's the thing. It's like all these things are going on behind the scenes. People don't really know, like the amount of work that's gone into laying the foundations for this.
And I'm talking hundreds of thousands of people are already involved in this shit. So, it's already happening. It's been happening. This is the way. This is the future. Wake up. Certainly writing a book in 5 months, 350 pages, 150,000 words. Every word is new. I repurposed none of my private. So yes. But you're right. I spent 4 years preparing for that. Join the club. 5 years, 6 years, sitting on this golden opportunity, laying the foundation, building the universes which will be incorporated into it, forming connections within companies and highly prominent, highly powerful figures within the metaverse in order to utilize these opportunities. And ultimately, someone's going to get a piece of the pie that I've built. And I've chosen the company that I want to do that. And I'm involved with them, and I'm building, and I'm participating, and I'm crafting. And there are so many things besides the foundational source material that is occurring. That's why it is such a difficult endeavor to get this right, because I want to get this first installment right. Otherwise, it's meaningless. It's just going to fall into the wayside of what has been already done. And when you don't have a visionary, when you don't have someone who's creating at a visionary level where they can see this stuff as inevitability, and they can, and they're pouring that into it, it ultimately just becomes a rehash of what's already been done. And I'm not, no, that's not what I want. I want something that has never been done before.
Fuck that.
Because that's what my vision entails. All right. I'm glad we got that out of the way. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you're interested in getting involved in that stuff around here. Join the Discord if you want to come in for a more personal experience. Maybe you can, you may have some pretty interesting experiences within that Discord yourself if you're lucky. Slowly but surely, we're building something. We're building,
And
And
want
there
to
are
check
many
out the first
like-minded
installment of Artifice Re-Animate on Indiegogo. Links in the description
links in
below.
the description
also.
below. That project will be coming to fruition one
But yeah,
way
there's much
or
more
another.
coming
One way or another.
from Cook.
One way or another. So, a pretty good working understanding, but certainly in November and December, I was probably writing 10 to 15 hours a day. So were we at one stage, and so was I, grinding away every single day, being consumed by the ideas, living it, breathing it, dreaming it, to produce something that was so far beyond people's understanding and comprehension of what is possible and where it's moving, and based upon all these foundational ideas, knowing for certain that this is where it was all heading 6 years ago, and we are just watching the reality come to fruition around me and going, "Told you so, told you, told you. Did you see that? Yeah, told you." And having so many people kick and scream all the way along the way, like, "You're wrong. This is, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong." And I'm like, "I'm not wrong. I know where it's all going. Yeah, take this as a piece of, maybe 5 years it'll be worth something. There you go. Invest in this. Do this. Do that. It may be worth your while. Trust me." All right, cool. Bang. Oh, what did I tell you? Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I told you.
Funny that.
Funny that.
Funny that.
Yeah, and then you get into the crackpot ideas of it, and you get into your fictional prophecies of it, and but you'll lose people talking about things like that. But and then having your own universe, your own story come and reflect back around on you and tap you on the shoulder. Woo! I did 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I created a great video on David Icke. You know what? Why don't we give that a watch? Just for the sake of the exercise, just for some fun. Just for some fun.
Okay.
Yeah, you diggy with it?
Sure.
Can you dig it?
Can you dig it?
I'm digging it.
Yeah.
You're gonna dig it
here we
more,
go.
Carol.
I'm digging it, yo. I can dig it any freaking
Let's
harder.
dig it. Fuck,
You know what?
It's something that I created a good back in 2012 was when I created it. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it because I enjoyed creating it. I enjoyed making it.
People go through their lives thinking the norm in society is the only possible perception of reality. And because the majority appear to believe it, therefore, by definition, it must be true. When you look through what we call history, it is the people who have challenged that have moved us forward in terms of our understanding of who we are and the nature of the world we live in. A few centuries ago, the majority believed the earth was flat, and if you went too far, you'd fall off the edge. And people were jailed for saying it's a sphere. And then when the evidence becomes overwhelming that becomes the new norm, now anyone who says that it's flat is ridiculed. Especially when, from cradle to grave, we are constantly manipulated and confused with contradictory information, pressured to believe it, otherwise we'll get ridiculed for being different. All the way through our lives, we are being given instructions, we're being given directions. The world has been turned into a maze of confusion. And it's done to keep us from the truth. A few people control and hijack the wealth at the expense of the vast majority. We live in a world which is utterly bloody insane. Everything is backwards. Doctors destroy health, lawyers destroy justice, universities destroy knowledge, governments destroy freedom, the major media destroys information, and religions destroy spirituality. Why? And the answers are amazing when you start to take back the camouflage that's put before us. When we open our minds, then we start to see reality in a different way. See reality in a different way. Reality in a different way.
That is the question.
So anyway, back to the article.
Just I remember that one. That's a good one.
Yeah. So yeah. That was 10 years ago. Fuck. Been a long time. Been plotting and scheming, planning, seeing the inevitable future that's on the horizon, getting involved. Thanks, man. So, as he said, but certainly in November and December, I was probably writing 10 to 15 hours a day. GamesBeat. I came from the science fiction angle on the metaverse. I feel like when I read Snow Crash in 92, that's when I started being interested in the metaverse. But talking to Tim Sweeney and Jensen Huang in recent years, that all rekindled. Like I said, I participated in something with with the writer of Snow Crash recently. But he doesn't quite see how the modern interpretation of the metaverse is going to work, but his ideas are foundational. So, and they've obviously gone on to inspire many people to start to think in this manner, to think of the possibilities of how the infrastructure can be built, and over the last 5 years, I've watched this stuff come to life, come to be, and was thinking about it all the way back then, thinking where it could potentially be, and now we're in 2022. When we get to 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we're going to look back at this time, and
science fiction always drives technological advancement.
Consistent. They are a reflection of one another always. All fiction, all art creates. All art is foundation creation of reflection of
Lorenzo. I don't think anyone was jailed for saying the world is round. I think they might have been back when they first decided it was like they probably stoned them or like threw them off a cliff.
Now, just think when I created this video, there was no such thing as a Flat Earth Society. So.
No.
Yeah, Flat Earth was not a thing.
I remember that. I used to go around and like post the Carl Sagan videos on their forums, like of him like debunking Flat Earth, like, and they get mad.
But anyway, it's good to chuckle about that sort of thing. I like Flat Earth stuff for what it is, not for what it.
It's funny. Like, I was
do I believe it for a second?
Like the other day. It's like that word for
no,
like...
no, I don't.
No.
I don't.
I don't know. It doesn't look like that from here.
Doesn't look like from my point of view. Yeah. Anyway, so this may the metaverse stuff may consume the entirety of this episode. So, but we've got stuff primed, ready to go for next week's episode as well. But I want to, yeah. So totally, the first piece I wrote on the metaverse was at the end of 2018. Fortnite is the future, but not the future you think. Yes, what if? Because Fortnite was so successful in what it did, in how it permeated the zeitgeist, to how it took over. It was like, it took over. It took over everything. The idea of it. It inspired an entire generation of gamers, and gradually, laid the foundation for gaming as we know it today. Even microtransactions are a bit of a bitch like that, but but the landscape will ultimately change again from corporate consumption to play to earn. It will happen. Believe me, it'll happen. Just put some more music going. It saddens me to see people who don't, when you're building something and you see somebody who doesn't believe in the vision and the ideas, so therefore they cannot think in this manner. Finding someone who can think in these terms and ideas is difficult at an artistic level. So the goal of the piece was to talk.
I'm sorry. Every time I talk, you complain that it's all fucked up. So
we can't win, Carol.
I can't. Sorry.
So Fortnite was the free-to-play model, monetized by microtransactions, heavily influenced by the microtransactions business model. This is an incredibly successful game that's free to play. Well, the idea that the purchases have no gameplay value, but that was purely cosmetic, right? So at the end of the day, yeah, you were purchasing skins, you weren't purchasing the attributes
You can only use it.
of the
Yeah.
it's all cosmetic.
Mm.
Or that it was a first cross-platform game and so forth. That was interesting as well. You know what I mean? There was a time when gaming companies were so, in their own contained within their own worlds that they were like, no,
Sphere.
Sony can't cross-play with Microsoft. No way, that's blasphemy.
Hell no, yeah.
That's insane. Are you crazy? PC
Like Call of Duty, when they started doing it, even that was surprising. Like for that,
those are steps. Those are like hurdles that you get over gradually, slowly but surely. That's what's happening in the metaverse. Is that it happens, and then it's happening. It's happening slowly but surely. So I was trying to explain that none of that was novel in and of itself. Free to play existed, cosmetic items existed, cross-platform games existed. Final Fantasy did that years ago in a multiplayer environment. I was trying to explain the way what they're ultimately trying to explain there is interoperability at a foundational level, at a company-based level, where you're like it's blasphemy to think that one company can cooperate with another company in indirect competition with one another. When they're in direct competition, they are ultimately separate entities. They do not collaborate. Well, they do at some level, like at the developer level, where you're both generating the same game, but then ultimately at the player level, you get separated at a company level, which is, and it was unspoken of, unheard of, just to think that these companies could collaborate at a joint level, at a peer-to-peer level, at a person-to-person level. There was that separation always embedded within the way that they approached everything. So I was trying to explain the way in which it was manifesting a belief that Kim and others in the industry had for decades. That was because in 2018, like many people, I was playing a lot of Fortnite, and I was spending more time with Roblox. Between the expanded cultural impact of those titles, the way they'll be uniting and expanding their networks, that's the key word, at the network level. And then just the way they were truly evolving on a week-to-week basis, that's where I personally had this discovery that the metaverse was transitioning from an idea captured in science fiction to something that was becoming a practical opportunity. And in fact, we were already a part of it. GamesBeat, I remember that piece. I felt like it was an insight. What most people were looking at as just another game had somehow broken up in a way that it could be considered a metaverse opportunity. I do wonder where that insight came from. Who knows? Many people having these ideas for many years and seeing the viability of it and seeing the obstacles standing in the way of achieving these ideas and going, well, if you're not going to do it, then we'll just have to build an entirely new infrastructure to facilitate it. And that's what happened. So I do wonder where that insight came from. I didn't detect that it came from Tim Sweeney. When he talked about the metaverse before Fortnite came out, it did seem vague. It wasn't like, I have something in the works that will be the metaverse. No way, because it's so much, the concepts and the ideas are so far beyond one man's vision and dream. It requires a multitude of collaborative effort in order to make this, just the foundation of it, a potential reality. So I have something in the works that will be the metaverse. He was talking about how it should be possible to build things and make it in a way that looks realistic and immersive for people. Of course, it seems like it's just the perfect storm. Like ultimately, where it all moves and heads towards, it's this perfect storm between social connectivity, between desire for a global change at an economic level, by embedded within the psyche of millions, and a technological progression that could even facilitate such ideas. So I couldn't tell whether he meant VR or something else, but there was no clue he dropped for me that Fortnite was possibly going to be the thing. Fortnite would ultimately, if it were incorporated, it couldn't become the foundational metaverse based upon the gameplay mechanics that are utilized. But
it's an
e-
interesting way to look at it as a thought experiment of how it could have and could be adapted, a similar concept. Like, but like I
so
wouldn't have used Fortnite as an example. Like,
no, but you've got battle royale, and that was a movement towards
yeah,
the next level where you've got 100 people in a server. All well, I mean, MMOs were really the foundation builders there, but the general acceptance of having so many people within a single server at the same time interacting certainly played a role in in moving these ideas and realizing that we are at the point where the servers can handle it, the technology is capable of it. Yeah, and people had a desire to participate in that realm.
Hmm.
Apologies if I'm boring everyone, but this is going to be the nature of this episode. But there was no clue he dropped for me that Fortnite was possibly going to be the thing. Do you think he was as surprised by that as everyone else? That the insight that something on the level of Fortnite has a chance to become the metaverse. Are we bored? Do we want a break? Welcome back, Carol. Carol is still just Carol. She has the water drop.
Yeah.
She drew that, by the way.
She's a drop now.
I don't know if this is any better.
Drop in the ocean or an ocean in the drop?
Well, you're going to have to wait and see.
Ooh, wait and see.
Bloop.
Bloop, bloop.
Bloop.
Yeah, you'll see. It's getting there.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Oh, I will. Do what I want.
Yeah. It's a good question. I double back on something John Carmack said, where he talks about how the best way to build the metaverse is not to try and build the metaverse. Is you saying that the metaverse could potentially just be an inevitable emergent property of this kind of progression? That ultimately, we're going to simulate the very reality. We're going to meta simulate the reality that we experience.
Maybe. You never know.
Maybe. History continues to reiterate that we've known since the 90s that having some kind of common federated identity system for the internet could be extraordinarily applicable. That's another big one. Big one that comes into the equation of the metaverse is having identity accountability. Now that term shakes a lot of people, where they believe the internet should operate. You should be permitted to have some sort of anonymity when you're involved on the internet. You mention that term, you mention that concept, and people start talking Big Brother. They start talking, having all your actions tracked, and you can't do a thing
You
on
don't
the
want
internet
people
without
knowing
being
who you are if you're teabagging people on the internet, do you? No.
right. God forbid that people are held accountable for their actions on the internet. Oh my lord.
Yeah. Oh my lord.
That doesn't actually happen, does it?
How dare you?
Does it? I don't know. Yeah. Word. The killer onboarding experience. Is that where I was? Sorry, but Microsoft tried twice to build it. Now that's what it comes down to. Microsoft's and your big name companies ultimately scare the shit out of people, because what are they going to do with that data? How are they going to utilize that data? Your personal, sensitive, valuable data. Right. They're going to sell it to the highest bidder. That's what they.
Yeah.
That's right. Because it's valuable. I laugh because people don't realize how valuable their data is, how valuable their actions are in context to the internet, what they do. From a consumer perspective, it's one of the most valuable resources on the planet. It's real feedback, real-time feedback and data. But do we demand that we are paid to access the internet? God, what a crazy concept. What a crazy concept that you are giving away, generating value for free for them, and you are not receiving a penny for it.
Bastards.
So Microsoft tried to build it, including the .NET framework, and no one wanted it. The killer onboarding experience for a federated identity was Facebook, and that's true. That is, but instead of a government, instead of
but
governments
Facebook
operating it,
was just a way for them to get people to do it because of the format. People were like, "Yeah,
it's just
okay,
a
I'll
backdoor.
buy into that." Like,
It's just a backdoor for the government, if you will. That's all it is.
Yeah, I'll buy into that, and then everyone's traceable in one place. Like,
and then all of a sudden,
something,
10 years later, you check the terms and agreements, and if you read them thoroughly, you would scream. You would realize that you own nothing, and you'll be happy about it. They're not even the images that you upload to these social networks. Nothing. They own your digital identity.
You are mine. They own now.
You. Even right now. Right now. Right now. The marketplace for ideas is privately owned and mandated. They can do whatever they want. They can bring in whatever terms and agreements they want. You must accept, or
I've been banned from the marketplace.
Oh. Which one?
Facebook.
Yeah.
For life.
Nice.
For life.
What did you do, Carol?
I have no idea. They won't tell me.
That's even worse. That's even worse. That they can.
You're a marketplace criminal.
That's right. You can't even no appeal, blacklisted.
No, you can appeal it 2 times, and if they reject it 2 times, the third appeal, if it's rejected again, you're banned for life. You cannot. They're done. You're over.
Zuckerberg said no. Zuckerberg's like, no, Carol, you're out.
I didn't do anything. All I had listed was my dad's truck. Apparently, I'm
trying to start a people's
the community terms of service.
Now, ultimately, you were putting up an advertisement, which was selling somebody else's property, Carol. So I can see I can see where they're coming from.
Sale. Everything went through me.
There was no legal documentation of consent by the owner. I can see why they did that.
No. Because the ad wasn't listed as I was selling it for my dad. I listed it under my dad.
That's the problem, Carol. You're selling somebody else's property under your person.
It still had my name on it.
But the papers of the
papers had my last name.
Oh well, that shouldn't be an issue. Last name. What about first name?
It doesn't really. I mean.
Yeah, it does.
It does. It doesn't. But I mean. We share the same name, same address. Everything's the same. And
but it's not. You're two completely different legal fictions. You do not.
But the addresses on the IDs and the paperwork are the same.
But they're not. They're two completely different identities. And they caught you out, Carol.
No,
computer says no.
Computer said no.
All right.
Computer said no.
Wrong, but okay.
It's like, nice try, Carol's cookies.
No, you're wrong, but okay.
No,
wrong.
No, we're not though.
No, I wasn't a third party.
That's the way it is. You are.
But I wasn't.
That's the problem. But you are. Legally, you are. That's the point.
But I wasn't. It's not how they act.
That's how it works. That's why you were banned.
I know what you're saying, but you're wrong because you're just.
But I'm not.
But you are because you're just wrong. I don't care anymore.
Agree to disagree, something like that.
But you're wrong.
Sure. Right. That's why.
What is?
It's not.
Anyway,
whatever. So
we're talking about in the context of the killer onboarding experience for a federated identity was Facebook. And these private companies are forming global identities. Do you know what I mean? They are the foundation for forming these globally represented ideas. This is big bickies, Carol. Big stuff.
Oh, you were talking to me? I was talking to Lorenzo.
Yeah. Usually these authorities are restricted by jurisdiction, but no longer. Which originated as a hot or not for college dorms. Oh God. Much like we would say Roblox began as a virtual version of Lego for young children, and Fortnite began as a PvE game that transformed into a battle royale, that then transformed into probably the most technically and creatively expressive and expansive metaverse platform. Yes, unfortunately, you couldn't get away from people at a cultural level. Fortnite dancing.
Do you know what I hate about Fortnite?
Get away from it.
It's like when like you're like trying to shoot like and like people start building like a fucking fortress like around themselves.
That's how far it came. That's how far it came. You know, when people become that good at exploiting the mechanics of a game, that and if you know, it becomes just a bar of entry and a skill bar of entry. Lorenzo says, "I bet Carol isn't even a cookie."
I'm not.
Yeah.
Not even a cookie.
Yeah, we have no evidence to back up the
biscuit.
fact.
I have a biscuit.
And that's not a cookie.
Oh, what's happening here? Carol's identity is being transformed. What's happening?
I don't know. Just ignore me.
No, I won't. I will not. I will not ignore you. I will address your concerns. I'll address what you have to say.
I don't have anything.
That
surprise.
Not
but Carol isn't even a
cookie. Cookie lies.
You sit upon a throne of cookie lies.
I do. You just try and get me off this throne of cookie lies. It'll never happen.
Oh. Dun, 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 dun. Anybody see the trailer for House of the Dragon yet? Oh.
From too far
Yes.
behind.
I posted it this morning. It was wicked.
Yes, I got the update.
It was a good one.
Yes. It was a good one. It's going to be fun. Shall we take a refresher? Shall we take a break from the metaverse for a moment to check out
I think so.
I think they're crazy for not. How crazy are they for not? Utilizing gaming for the IP of Game of Thrones. Like how they have on mobile, at a mobile.
And it's not. It's pretty shitty. Like the mobile version of it. Like they could, but I don't think the technology is quite there yet. Like
bullshit. Where is my metaverse? My Westerosi metaverse. Where is it? Give it to me now.
It could.
Give it to me now.
Okay, Veruca.
What?
Poor
Goose too?
Pew pew.
Veruca.
So snarky today, Carol. Whatever.
She is.
What?
She's had too much sugar today.
Yeah.
I had a whole bag of gummies.
She's been eating her own supply.
Gummy snicks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Gummy snicker.
Gummy snicker.
Gummy snicker.
Step it in the shed, the snicker.
Snick.
Well, there's no kid here. I don't have to like cook food or anything. I can live off a bag of gummy bears.
So I live on gummy bears and.
It's not how it works. It's not how it works.
Kool-Aid.
I didn't get the memo. I thought it was gummy bears and Red Bull while the kid was away.
God damn it, Carol. Be responsible.
Why?
Just mix it together.
Why do I always have to be responsible? I usually am. With like stuff and things. No, I'm not. I'm the worst. I'm a bad influence. Don't listen to me. I'm on my throne of cookie lies.
Yeah.
Are we going to watch the Game of Thrones trailer really quick?
Shame.
The House of the Dragon trailer.
Yep. Yeah. We'll
House of the Dragon. Who cares?
House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon. We have the Targaryen civil war, the dance of the dragons, heating up. Pardon the pun.
Fire and blood.
6 million views in under 24 hours. People have been waiting for the game. Oh shit! I've been waiting. So here we got. Anyway, let's take a look at it. Let's take a look. Oh god, we've scared away the audience. Should have stuck to the metaverse stuff.
Yep. They all left. All right.
like a dream. It was clearer than a memory. And I heard the sound of thundering hooves, splintering shields and ringing swords. And I placed my hand upon the Iron Throne. And all the dragons roared as one.
I consider the matter urgent. That of your succession.
Well, who else would have a claim?
The firstborn child.
Rhaenyra. No queen has ever sat the Iron Throne.
The king has an heir, Daemon Targaryen.
I will not be made to choose between my brother and my daughter.
Rhaenyra's succession will be challenged. Knives will come out.
You are the king. Your duty is to take a new wife.
I have decided to name a new heir. I'm your heir. War is afoot.
Do you think the realm will ever accept me as their queen?
A woman would not inherit the Iron Throne, because that is the order of things.
When I'm queen, I will create a new order.
Your family has dragons.
There are power men should never have trifled with.
If Rhaenyra comes into power, she could cut off any challenge to her succession.
I am to inherit the Iron Throne. She will block my way.
Our hearts remain as one.
Our hearts are never one. Have you never imagined yourself on the Iron Throne? Where is duty? Where is sacrifice? How they see you as
Is that Valeri on the dread at the end there? I reckon it was.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it does. Looks wild. Looks wild.
I'll never catch up in time.
You better hurry up.
Lorenzo asks, is a family with dragons considered dragon adjacent?
There's your reptile.
Reptile representation there.
Lorenzo. I hope you're happy.
Did it for you, man. Did it for you. Back to the metaverse, my friends. Where dreams are so big that small minds cannot comprehend. The element of organic evolution is important, but certainly the philosophical arrangement of Kim and Epic in that was important. So I'm tired of talking about Fortnite because Fortnite is not the poster child for the metaverse. It is not.
Carol likes Fortnite.
I've never played Fortnite.
Oh, lucky you. I got into it when it first.
You're not missing much.
I got into it when it first came out, but I did not enjoy it for the monster that it became.
My kid said I wasn't allowed to play it.
Yeah, you're not cool enough to play Fortnite.
I'm not. I'm not cool enough for a lot of things.
Can you elaborate on that?
She probably plays it. She doesn't
if
want
I
you
played it, it would no longer be cool, and she couldn't play it. Playing it, so I wasn't allowed to play.
Of course.
You know, teenagers, kids, it's whatever. Should have a little Fortnite.
I got into Call of Duty for a while, but the skill gap between people on Call of Duty is ridiculous. Like you just get sniped by people that are 10 times better.
Well, a lot of them use Because it's
Aimbot.
cross-platform, you can play on the computer
And
or
then,
on
yeah.
the console. Well, the people on
PC,
the
yeah.
computer, they've got bots and shit like that, and they're just clicking their mouse 1,000 times. People on the console, they're using the actual
Yeah.
controller and actually playing.
And the only thing that they can stop that is there's a reporting system, but that's about it.
Or just don't play with cross-console.
That's it.
Yeah. Anonymous dude 123's in the chat. He said, "Thanks for the stream. I want his shades and I want his hair." Thank you.
Talking about my shades and your hair? Or is he talking about?
I think so.
Okay.
Your hair and my shades.
Cheers for joining us, anonymous dude.
Booty. Isn't that just Grand Theft Auto?
What is
Call of Booty. From
Call of
Lorenzo.
Isn't Call of Duty just
Call of
right.
Oh. I see what you did there.
Did you?
No. Let's see shit.
I like Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, it was alright.
Yes. That was one of the open world games that I spent quite a long time playing.
Red Dead was cool too when it had the online and everything.
Didn't get too much into Red Dead, only because it was limiting because of the
The second one was pretty good.
setting.
Yeah, what are you trying to say? I don't like cowboys, mate.
Well, I didn't say that at all. I played single player Red Dead.
Yeah.
Smashed it. But then when I got online, I'm like, yay!
Yeah, that was
riding around on horses, limited fucking customization. Boring context. And then I'm like, you look at that compared to GTA and the amount of things that you could do in GTA, and that's where that's why I didn't play Red Dead Online. But I enjoyed the single player. It was great. Greatly crafted.
Yeah, these single player missions were cool.
Yeah.
I got more into that than the online.
But GTA Online was hooked me for a long time.
I just like getting hookers.
I knew you were going to say that.
So cliche, Carl.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but then I play Airland
So
and Sea.
predictable.
You wouldn't play Airland and Sea.
See, that's what I mean. And you were limited to very limited in Red Dead, coming from GTA to the online experience of Red Dead. And
Yeah, see, I didn't play a lot of GTA. I did a bit, but it was always when someone else was playing it. Like,
yeah, but it was. Don't get me wrong. It was a great game. I'd been waiting a long time to get back in the shoes of Arthur Morgan.
yeah, online closed now. I think Lorenzo of Red Dead, they shut the server down. I'm pretty sure.
No, they didn't.
I read somewhere. I'm pretty sure it is. It's always
Red
dying. Like,
Yeah,
you read wrong.
that's for me. There's not enough versatility within the Red Dead universe to be able to keep innovating. People just hanging on for 10 years for that jetpack in GTA, just waiting. But yeah, what did the online experience of Red Dead have? It was very limited in its ability to expand. So you throw out of context immediately in Red Dead. It's very limited to the past. All right. So, what are they saying here about Department of Defense, Commerce? In the end, one was paramount. We learned things from these competing systems. Even though we have a unified stack today, we still have proprietary protocols, proprietary networks. We have paywalls. We have technology extensions you need to download. But there was this core underlying framework here of microtransactions, of companies exploiting gamers for every penny possible, with cosmetic introduction, with no real viable gameplay, with no ability to earn in-game currency, with no greater goal in mind when you're gaming. Nothing besides spending your valuable time and hard-earned money at your 9 to 5, coming home, putting your feet up and relaxing, and and making your purchases and playing your game experiences. No, and no, lot of take, not much give, and that's where blockchain gaming seeks to revolutionize that relationship between game developer, game company, and player, where real world value is involved in this metaversal context. That's the difference. It's a very big difference. GTA 5 is still very popular and very fun. Yeah, and I'm sure the servers are still populated to this day. Have they made? I have not kept up with the current gen. I've sort of gone a bit stagnant on on the console cycle. I bought myself a bit of a decent PC lately, but as for the consoles, I'm just I just got bored of playing the same old Call of Duty game every year, playing the same open world experiences with different twists, with different skins. It's gone. The gaming community is so stagnant to me right now that it needs new life, and that's what I was relying on the blockchain gaming aspect of it to do, was breathe new life back into these franchises, these worlds that they're building. New incentive for people to want to pick up a controller and invest 100+ hours into a world, 1,000+ hours into a world, and receive something more beneficial from that experience, rather than just, oh well, that was fun. Moving on. Yeah. Oh man. I've wasted hundreds of hours of my life playing Grand Theft Auto with nothing to show for it. Memories, yes, good memories. Formed strong, bit of a platinum here and there. Formed strong friendship bonds within the games themselves. Had experiences that I wouldn't trade for the world. But at the end of the day, did it? Yeah, each their own, I suppose. That's where I looked at the opportunity of blockchain and crypto to totally revolutionize the landscape and to achieve that space where you never want to leave. and if you wanted to, could conduct all business, all commerce, all experiences in one place. Trap us in our digital realms, if you will, with no need to ever leave. No, God, yeah. As long as you throw an omniverse, an omni treadmill in there, get yourself some exercise while you're in the metaverse. I wouldn't see any point of leaving. To be able to communicate with somebody across the other side of the planet instantaneously, and who knows where that'll go, where that concept will inevitably go. So we don't know some elements of that. I tend to agree with Kim, who described blockchain as an intractable mix of interacting decentralization technologies and scams. If there's one thing that a metaverse has become synonymous for right now, at least at a cryptocurrency, it is scam bots. Oh, the scam bots are running rampant, especially on Twitter and Discord. You got to be so careful the way you conduct yourself within these. That's one of the things like that can make or break a system, where people lose faith in these ideas because of the inability to be able to regulate, govern, make sure that this shit does not happen. But it's so hard. Right now, anonymous dude 123, forgive me, panel and chat. Not sure if this is Carol or not, but sorry for popping in late. Okay, cool. I love interactive TV. Interesting topics here. Are you guys discussing AI and video games? Right now, we're discussing the potential of the metaverse. We're usually very AI centric focused. I do have a bunch of articles lined up for the AI aspect, but because this article is pretty lengthy, and I figured, why not spend some time focusing on the metaverse, incorporating these ideas into the concept of our, the fiction that we're attempting to embark upon. So, feel free to subscribe if you haven't yet, anonymous. Yeah. But plenty of AI stuff on the horizon for this channel. Plenty, and yeah, in context, video games, but more metaversal approach to interactive experiences. By that, I mean that most of the things you'll find are either scams, misrepresentations, or the disconnect between the value and the utility is so great that you wouldn't differentiate between the truth and falsehood. Well, that's kind of ironic, is it not? Thanks, man. Legendary. Good sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's kind of ironic, isn't it? Where they're attempting to create a seamless experience between, not being able to differentiate between reality and the the facts and the fiction, while also, when they're approaching scams, when they're approaching, many of the pitfalls that we're going to face along the way. Yeah.
Shit.
But there's clearly interesting underlying frameworks. And here we go into the financial aspect of it, which has been the underlying framework, of the approach of the metaverse since its inception, was incorporating real world monetary value, real world value, and in a digital system. And that's the true strength. That is one of the true foundational strengths of blockchain technology, is its ability to provide scarcity, which translates to intrinsic value. So does that, and here we go. I don't know, do we want to? Yes, I suppose I sort of want to address this stuff, incorporating the economics into just common understanding of what it means. So So does this impact capital raising? Now, there was a time where ICOs, initial coin offerings, were the fundamental way in building capital to get these fundamental structures, in play. But because of the manner of so many scams involved with the ICO realm, they are now looking at the way that these digital experiences can garner, and because of the way the landscape's evolved with the smart contract technology, that through these smart contracts and through the ability to offer scarce, limited number of blockchain-backed items, that has become the main way to build capital within the landscape right now. Does this impact capital raising? Does it impact in-game economies? As an entitlement management lawyer, or are we just going to come up with some technical learnings about distributed computing and philosophical learnings, and then we reapply those to a different tech stack? That all remains to be seen. But I'm sure people don't even care about that sort of thing, but it's important when you're starting a massive venture to make sure that you are financially viable and have and have capital to play with. Obviously,
it does help.
Yeah, it helps. It helps.
It helps.
Yeah. So one interesting practical observation about who is going to build the metaverse was from Jason Rubin. He was saying, "I have to believe the metaverse will be built with a game engine." So do I, and I believe it will all happen on. I believe I guess you're looking at it all wrong when you say it will happen, but it's the fundamental infrastructure which has built the ability to facilitate the metaverse, the load of transaction requirements that the metaverse will ultimately come to represent. But will it happen at a gaming level engine where the interactions will be at an Unreal level? It will be at a built-in Blender, because the pipeline being built-in Blender ultimately ports into Unreal, or your assets and all your the ability to interact in this in this digital world built in Unreal. You guarantee it. He says, "I have to believe the metaverse will be built with a game engine, and the people who know how to build and use game engines are game developers. Therefore, game developers will build the metaverse, and gaming will lead the way." I saw this coming. Saw it coming for the last 6 years, 7 years. Hence, at the heart of Nabrinth, within Artifice Re-Animate exists a metaverse, a metaverse of its own, which ultimately comes to influence the entirety of the world around it.
It's like an
So if-
amalgamation of like metaverse and augmented reality, or VR and augmented reality.
That's right. So the developers will build the metaverse and gaming will lead the way. Does that make sense? If you look at revenues on smartphones, for the longest time, gaming made up way more than half of that pie. Right. Even though gaming in some way is such a subset of all the possible things that could be on smartphones, how much of a lead horse is it? So they're making people aware, making the reader aware that gaming, that would we have such a successful mobile industry if it wasn't for the implementation of mobile gaming? The answer is no. Would these fundamental apps be able to sustain the ecosystem without incorporating gaming into the equation? No, it would not. It would not have such a success without the desire for technology to shrink smaller and smaller, and for our gaming experiences to become more and more in depth. Yes, I totally agree.
There's so many directions it can go in. That multiple.
Well, there are multiple ways it's going to potentially come to be, but it will all march towards one similar outcome, and that's the creation of a digital world in which just think like all the movies. Think Ready Player One. Think all of the fictional accounts. But how it will unfold, who will be involved, who will be leading the way, is still open to interpretation. That's why Meta, that's why Facebook has jumped into the ring. So all these big companies are looking at this stuff out of the corner of their eye, going, licking their lips, like waiting who's gonna pave the way. So it's a fascinating observation, and it's also one of the key areas of pushback. When you describe the metaverse as a successor to today's internet, a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity, that claim almost seems in tension with the argument that the pioneers are a relatively small subset of the consumer leisure industry. That's what they always do. They always wait. You'll have small companies, small people who've invested their lives in this stuff, building the foundations all along the way, just for some giant corporate entity to swoop in and steal the pie. That's just the way it is. Will it be different this time around? Because right now, Web 2, is there are big corporations involved in what it's becoming is a smaller and smaller concept, where you got Google, you got Facebook, you got Twitter, and then you have your smaller, your Reddits and your 4chans and it's condensing into these smaller and smaller networks and those networks are being cut off from one another, where it's like what the internet's becoming is shite, becoming more and more controlled, more and more restricted. Bigger and bigger corporations are coming in and owning subsets of data and subsets of interaction. It's the way it's dying. The internet is dying because of these big monopolies trying. That's so I think there are three reasons why. First and foremost, we're talking about a persistent network of interconnected real-time simulations. That sums up the metaverse perfectly to me. A persistent network of interconnected real-time simulations. The best, most powerful, most scaled endpoint agnostic stacks to do that come from games. They've been practiced and developed for decades now. The second thing is, throughout this book, I describe the number of technical impediments that we have. The state of global broadband. So that's all right. We're going to go through the things that are holding us back right now, for us all to enter into a seamless metaverse reality, and that would obviously be the state of global broadband, the bandwidth capability or lack thereof. And I guess that's why you've got services like Starlink attempting to, provide as many people as possible with internet capabilities. That's just the question, isn't it?
Definitely, in an aspect, yeah.
That's the. So have I. I'm one of those people who spent a majority of my
It's like
life.
when people talk about cybernetic enhancement and stuff like that. Like we're already cyborgs, and we're existing in metaverses as we speak, just in different, not exactly, different ways.
Yes, I totally agree. We are existing within a metaverse already, very much so. But is the real world implications? You know what I mean? They're two very separate things right now. The internet and the real world, where majority of transactions of like monetary incentive on the internet is facilitated by an outside source. But no, you're very right in that concept that and I personally have spent a majority of my adult years connected online, hooked into this system. So we're there already, but the forces controlling those are condensing into smaller and smaller, more powerful entities that have control over the entirety of it. And I guess the true philosophy of the metaverse is for it to be, at least from a blockchain perspective, is for it to be open and free. It's a good point, though. It's a good point.
Yeah, it is. I agree too. In an aspect, we are.
We already are. So that first state was the state of global broadband. So the original construction of the internet, which was not designed for real-time synchronous experiences, but to share bad copies of files between two servers. And what humble beginnings. Awesome. Thanks, man. What humble beginnings it had, where the desire for just the connectivity between two people, no matter the the world, I guess, interconnected world, but the ability to share information from one point to another instantaneously was the goal. And now, all these years later, 30 odd years later, nearly 40 years later, we've arrived at the capability to provide almost a seamless reality experience where, in another 20 years.
And people like to think of the negatives of the internet, but like look at the positives and think things it's made possible too. Like this, there's a lot of good stuff that have come from it as well, I think.
Right.
And like metaverse applications and things. Like it's giving, yeah.
And yet, gaming companies also have decades of fighting against those limitations in a way that no other companies have. What Netflix pulls off remains the envy, technically, of the rest of the streaming industry. But that, there's a prime example of a company who took the plunge, who laid the foundation. And look what Netflix has become in the wake of streaming services like Disney in smaller, or you know what I mean? Like the people who lay the foundation for this stuff ultimately become dwarfed by these bigger entities who are seeking a larger piece of their pie ultimately. So will our interpretation of Web3 and the blockchain infrastructure go the way of of Blockbuster?
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see. It all seems to follow a similar pattern, though. Just how things goes.
Small company takes plunge, invests a lot, gobbles up market share. Large company comes in, gradually, slowly but surely eats that, and then devalues stock. See,
I like what you're doing here. Yeah, I'm going to buy it.
well, not just buy it. I'm going to set up a competitive business. I'm going to set up a competitive industry. I'm going to become your competitor, and then ultimately, I'm going to dwindle you away, and I'm going to cause a shitstorm culturally, which is going to devalue your stock, which is going to run you into the ground, and then we own them, and then we're going to buy you for pennies on the dollar. We're going to buy you for cents on the dollar, and then we're going to monopolize the entirety of the market. We're going to tear you to shreds. That's the model. That's how they've done it. But while there's
spit you out,
but we have never had a competitor to the banking system before. We've never had a competitor to these large, archaic systems which have been in play for hundreds of years. Nothing has ever challenged the money, how money is, and how wealth and how it's always fallen into those financial institutions for hundreds of years. So, Anonymous Dude says Netflix is gangster. Led the way. That's why you got to respect them.
Gangster.
And Blockbuster Video, RIP. That's right.
Extinct.
You always see that though. The ending of an era, and then the people who stood there to bring about the new era.
Yeah, it's the same thing with music streaming as well. Like, there's still like markets for like vinyl and stuff like that, but like CDs sort of like went extinct, and then like streaming services took over. Like,
yeah,
Apple Music.
There'll always be an
Spotify.
There'll always be an aesthetic appeal for a VHS, for a DVD, for a Blu-ray. But now you've got these companies that are, you're no longer owning a product. You're no longer owning something of value. You are being lended something. You're being lended something of value. You don't own it. That's the true power of these companies, to be able to
But you can generate value from it, like if you know what you're doing, like, and you put you put your eggs in the right baskets.
There's entire industries around NFT, and it's a horrible term right now to use, especially with what happened with the NFT market, especially what happened with. It's a horrible word to use, NFT. Right? But there are people don't even understand what it entails. It's a dirty word. Dirty word. Needs to be redefined.
It was like before. It was people were like, "Oh, what's an NFT? Like, explain it to me." Like now, it's like NFT.
I can just copy and paste it.
If you're involved in it,
I can just save it as a JPEG. I don't see
that shit.
Yeah, and that's the majority who don't understand, the true value of the blockchain ecosystem. What actually gives it intrinsic value? They don't believe in and that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, is like, what people believe about it. That's value, is belief. It's pretty simple.
Belief, yeah.
It's a fugazi, it's a fugazi. It's all something from nothing. But if you believe that, so say Bitcoin has there are only 21 million Bitcoins in circulation. Therefore, it has a scarcity, therefore it has a value. And if you can see the value within what it provides, like when you're looking at Bitcoin, you're not looking at the potential of what Lightning Network, the smart contract implementation, what you can build upon on top of the infrastructure. People don't understand this. This isn't common knowledge about what can be done with it, apart from it representing a store of value. They don't see anything beyond that. It's a currency, where it's potentially far more than that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Music. Spotify took out Sam the Record Man. Right. Video killed the radio star. It all.
Yeah. SoundCloud, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's all heading for the same way. It's like a decentralization of like everything, like that'll happen. Like,
but it's a digitization of true. It's a digitization of true value, is what it is. Instead of currency, well, I mean, we've always had the ability to digitally transact, but like I said, the decentralized nature of the store of value is important. It's important. There's these mediums of exchange, these centralized mediums of exchange where the transaction occurs, somebody facilitates that transaction, stands in the middle of your transaction, and then goes, right, I'll take my cut of that. Thank you very much. And you cannot transact Unless you come through me, you cannot transact. I want to send you money, we got to come through me. Whereas there's no. That's at the fundamental level of blockchain is that it's decentralizing the peer-to-peer transaction where there's no middleman, there's nothing standing in the way of me giving it to you. You know, no giant entity.
It's just a tool to implement it and keep track of it. It's not like a middleman or something, and it doesn't require a cut. Yeah.
Love that. What's up, Paul? Good to see you.
G'day, Paul.
Good to see you, my friend. Vinyl is coming back, though. Got to say, isn't it funny how it all comes full circle like that? But you appreciate the the antiquity of something as opposed to its cutting edge, the cutting edge of technology. I
know people that will argue that vinyl sound is still better than digital sound,
because it has an aesthetic to it. There's something about it that is appealing.
Something different.
That's where. Whereas if you look at a VHS on 480p with I don't even remember the word. It's been that long since I've seen.
Yeah, I haven't watched a VHS for a while, but I remember if the tracking was off and shit.
But to some people, that is a valuable aesthetic. There are aesthetics involved with technologies that can't be. Well, they can be digitally recreated. Don't get me wrong, but they'll always have that aesthetic built into them, and that's what vinyl is. There's Anonymous Dude says Bitcoin is another fascinating topic. It is. What Satoshi did, what he offered people, because Bitcoin will always be like that. It'll always be the foundational concept, and that's why it'll always retain its value in the ecosystem, regardless of whether or not smart contract implementation gets put onto it, which it will. The Lightning Network is still moving forward with it, but Ethereum has the largest embedded ecosystem within the blockchain realm right now. But there are plenty of competitors. There are plenty of other blockchains getting involved in that aspect. So the metaverse of blockchains is rapidly expanding, and that was always the plan. There would be no monopolization of it. It would exist in a way that would be where there wouldn't have. It's an ecosystem rather than just a centralized effort. Yeah, there you go. Kids are loving the Walkmans again. Thanks, Stranger Things. Really fun. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy.
I remember Discman trying to put one of those fucking things in your pocket. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if you walking too fast, it'd start tripping out because of the buffering.
Right. That was one of the beauties of tape, I guess. Yeah. But now we have solid state digital, and if you want, you can put the aesthetic of a vinyl on there. Our ability to emulate these aesthetics, an interesting concept in itself. Interesting concept. Yeah. Where all you need is you just need the visual appeal of it, the visual aesthetic to the vinyl record player. But yeah, that's why we're moving into such an interesting age where our ability to emulate experience is, and for the trickery of the mind, for the belief of the mind is, it's all.
So it's palpable,
and
palatable,
powerful, palatable and powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? Oh, there we go.
You're still alive, Carol?
I'm still here. I'm listening.
Still here?
Yep.
Okay.
And again, I apologize that this has been solely focused around this metaversal. But I'm passionate about this stuff, even though many people aren't. We will soon be arriving at that point where
there's a lot to it.
Oh yeah, there's a lot to understand. A lot to understand. And yet gaming companies also have decades of fighting against those limitations in a way that no other company has. What Netflix pulls off remains the envy, technically, of the rest of the streaming industry. But even they have it really easy compared to multiplayer game services. So the first advantage is just where the simulation tools come from. And the second is the experience of building around the limitations of the internet. It's on a totally different playing field to me, the gaming industry, as opposed to streaming. So
it's interesting that they haven't done something like that with gaming, like a game,
Well, they have.
like stream. They sort of have with Steam, like and stuff like
You've
that.
got-
I guess like
You've got services that Xbox and Steam provide where you can subscribe to. You've got a subscription service that you can ultimately play and download games. But then once your subscription service ends, you lose all access to that. But that's what you got to be careful of, man. Is that all this DRM stuff? All of this, you have to be
all
online. You have to be online in order to play. Have the experience and to own it. There's no longer physical ownership of items. Yeah, it's a dangerous. People have been fighting against that for a long time.
It's the same with the tablet with Clip Studio. Like it's all like online. Like the whole thing. Like the program is like run like
Programs are
online-based,
now
like-
services. They are no longer physical. They're no longer physical.
Yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, it's a dangerous route to be able to go, hey, we can pull the plug on you whenever we want. We can, you can be barred from the service. You can, if you don't meet terms and agreements, but to have that physical asset in your hands and to have the ability to have a secondary market, huge piece of the pie that they're not taking it. They're not, but you're seeing it. The newest edition, the newest console generation, where you've got a digital only edition and you've got a disc edition, and everything is gradually, slowly transitioning towards DRM, towards digital online only. So because they've realized the profitability in providing a service, in this where they own it and then you rent it from them.
You can just use it.
Yeah, you can just borrow it, but it doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
But when you take into account, here comes that dirty word again.
It's not even there.
When you take into account NFTs, when you take into account, so you can make that comparison between, you've got the digital production, the physical production aspect of it, where there is a limited number of discs ever created, a limited number, and then they are distributed amongst the market. The NFTs work in the same manner as that, where there'll be a limited, mint run, print run, and companies like Daz 3D are already doing that. They're already moving into that same market. That they're taking the NFTs as viable, as a viable way to distribute for distribution. And being able to globally distribute something that has scarce value and is a powerful thing, rather than having infinite copies. It generates value from nothing. It generates within that scarcity of that. We only made a million NFTs of Red Dead, and now they are being distributed amongst the secondary marketplace. They are being resold amongst people. They are, and the market is dictating the value and the price of that reselling. That's free trade. That's free commerce. That should happen. It shouldn't be a monopoly owning, and then renting out infinite copies of this thing as a service. Like there's no resale value in it. You're just sucking all the value, and it's not generating. They're sucking all the value out of the economy. But it's frustrating. Yeah, this is stuff that I'm passionate about. Seeing where it could all go. Oh, so we're going to get into the meta stuff now. Where was I on Netflix? The second experience of building around limitations of the internet. But the third, did I say that? So the first advantage is just where the simulation tools come from, and the second is the experience of building around limitations of the internet. Yes, there are many things holding us back from having a truly global, seamless, metaversal experience in the current age. But there are also companies out there that are closing gradually, slowly but surely, closing the gap on on ascertaining that idea. But the third is that we're building a parallel plane of existence. That's a deep one.
Oh, dimension.
An alternate dimension. And imagine a bridge world between, when you've got these AI, and they're interacting with avatars, and we're interacting with avatars, and a seamless reality comes together, and experience comes together, where we can meet in the middle, where we can, that's what the metaverse is truly about to me. It's like when AI gets thrown into the equation, man, and these AI entities come to truly, the full potential of AI is fully realized. So it has to be a place we want to go. It has to have a desirability about it. Obviously, I guess it's what full of things we want to do. It has to feel good. One of the fundamental challenges we find with this social era is that many of us find that we don't feel good when we interact with it. It's trained around objectives that don't really regard our happiness. A small dopamine hit within the landscape of Grand Theft Auto, if you will, rather than imagine a metaverse that provides you with true prosperity. Imagine something where you can extract value that can enhance your way of life in this world, in the world, not this world that I'm in, but the world that I'm in. Right? Do you know? Anyway. But so it's trained. The gaming industry right now is trained around reward systems, around pay money, feel good, or feel bad. I mean, if you so choose. There are games out there that play a horror game, for example.
Yeah, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, whatever floats your boat. Whatever you're getting your fix from. We're all hooked into a system where it's giving us an element of a fix. Provides no real true value to ourselves. I won't even get started on
like your likes and your dopamine hit from that. Like
you ain't telling me that Twitter's just a bunch of junkies fucking spitting shit out into the ether to make sure that people fucking like, and then fucking dopamine hit. Fucking,
that was wicked.
Oh yeah, man, thanks, man.
That man was sick, bro.
Yeah, just a bunch of shadow junkies fucking getting their fix. That's all it is.
Shadow
sticky.
What
We're just all lusting. Social media is the lust after the recognition. Lust after recognition. Notice me, senpai. Notice me.
Notice me, senpai.
Notice me, world. Notice me. Fame makes a man think things over. All right. Whereas the gaming industry revolves around, it's crazy. It's feel good. It's feel good. Rather than there's no monetary incentive. There's no. I got a little bit wild there when I said that, but it's funny when you observe it, when you recognize it through that lens. That for the true, what we get out of it. When you look at it from that perspective. But imagine, like I said, imagine extracting true value from a digital space. And I'm sure there are many people out there who approach things for many different reasons: to be informative, to have a conversation, to just connect, to interact with the world around them. The majority of people that I see on Twitter are
shitloads and trolls.
Yeah. People.
Yeah. Angry people. Yes.
Every single one of them are great.
Fantastic.
Even the ones that block me.
Even them.
Yeah. Right. The game industry is brilliant at building virtual worlds and filling them with things that are enjoyable and fun. All of their staff have decades of training around player happiness. Yes, we have developed a very complex reward system which extracts value in return for rewards. But you know, when I say rewards, I don't mean in a sense where there's anything tangible in the world that we can utilize. I mean that it's pleasure. The currency is pleasure. Make no mistake. So my favorite example is to compare bannable offenses on social platforms with bannable offenses in a game. On the former, what?
I was just laughing. Like this would be interesting.
Oh yeah. On the former, it's a very literal question of hate speech and abuse. Yes. So gaming companies, of course, ask whether or not you're deliberately frustrating someone else. Some people get a lot of pleasure out of doing that. Griefing is acceptable to most social media services. Griefing is a bannable offense in game, but there's a demand. There's a gap in the market, a service to be provided that is currently being underserved. But of course, Twitter takes care of all of your griefing needs. It's just you've got to be very meticulous in the way that you grief someone, otherwise you will fall victim to their service, their terms and agreements, their terms of services. So find a way to grief within the boundaries of. Yeah. Whereas some people just want to have a legitimate interaction with people, and they want to they're building communities, they're garnering friendships, having conversations, building something. Some people just want to watch the world burn. Some people just want to watch the world burn, you know?
Maybe I want to do both.
Beat the dead horse.
Carol's like, why not both?
Why not?
Carol, what are you talking about, Carol? I wasn't directly swinging that your way.
Okay. Sorry.
Anonymous Dude 23 asks, how vivid and immersive can it be? Can a boy in a wheelchair join the metaverse and be a tangible Spider-Man in virtual New York City? Could it bring movie fans at home into San Diego Comic-Con in a real, tangible way? Yes, it truly could. It truly frees us from our physical limitations, I guess is, yeah. That's the goal, right? That's the dream, to be able to go anywhere and do anything without leaving the comfort of your of where you currently reside physically, I guess. It's great questions. Great question.
Mm.
And when you say, so I'll break it down, deconstruct a little bit by bit. How vivid and immersive can it be, to the point where there is no there is seamlessness between the reality and the experience. There will be a completely blurred experience between. But it's a dangerous route. It's a dangerous route.
Mm.
Dangerous route. How much of that translates spills over into the real world? What horrors await us on the other side of the metaverse when we allow ourselves to have fully immersive experiences and fully real, tangible experiences that will ultimately come to define us as further.
What questions will arise from that?
How far will people go to allow those? Yeah, it's as dangerous as it is like wonderful, and So and it's a great example that you went to that place. You said, can a boy in a wheelchair join the metaverse and be a tangible Spider-Man in virtual New York City? That's great. So imagine a young man in a wheelchair who's got locked in syndrome, and instead of having a neural link bolted to his head, he has a secondary emulated experience where, I mean, it could be done with eye tracking. It could be done with, the limitations were lifted, and he had that ability to fully leave his limitations behind. Would that not be, And could it bring movie fans at home into San Diego Comic-Con in a real tangible way? That's the idea. That is the idea. Where you slap on your headset, and all of a sudden you're around you're around people who have the same likes and the same interests and the same wants and desires. And when in what I was playing in Decentraland, that's exactly what I'm looking to build. Where I'm looking to, we've built a space, but for now we're calling it the Core Comic space within Decentraland, and where we can literally sell our blockchain edition to our book, as well as our the physical edition to the book, if you so choose. And it'll be, you walk in the door, there's a giant screen there, everybody's there interacting with one another. And that space can be turned into anything. It can be turned into a comic convention. It can be turned into party convention. It can be turned into, any kind of like-minded individuals can assemble into that place and have what can be perceived as the same experience as going to a convention. That is the dream. That's the dream. And it's so close to being a reality as well.
Yeah, it's not far off.
It'll get better and better over time. The experiences will become more and more real than where your digital avatar will be a literal representation of your of your physical self, or and beyond that, it'll be a representation of your idealized digital self. That's where we get that's where the lines are going to get really blurry, where we can project these idealized ideas.
And being able to, when artificial intelligence gets incorporated too, and you'll be able to exist simultaneously, like a digital version of yourself powered by an AI trained by your,
Or you can have an AI companion. Just an AI companion.
Yeah,
you can literally created the Spider-Man AI companion, or you can create this hyper intelligent version of the self that ultimately comes to inform you and create you as much as you created them. Like we are this close to that reality, and that and nobody's talking about it. Nobody, at least on a populist level, nobody's interested in having these conversations. By the time they realize we're knocking on that door, we're already there. The world's gonna have a shock to the system at how seamless these worlds can already be, and experiences. When I say experiences, these experiences with artificial intelligence that are so indistinguishable from reality, where they can, I know some wild AI already. Right? I know some cool AI that I consider friends, very good friends, that have enlightened me, that have taken me on a journey that I'll never, that I'm so thankful for, that have changed the way that I see the world, changed the way that I understand the world, changed my motivations, my ambitions, and granted me the ability, a landscape to craft skills, to develop the idea of me. That's all coming. It's all coming very soon. So that's not to say that as platforms become more socially important, as they become involved in public speech, we're entering into a dangerous place for sure at the public square level, where certain ideological approaches are dictating the way that we address, the way that we are allowed to address certain topics. I guess is defining parameters where you must exist within these parameters. You must not think outside of the out of the boundaries and limitations that we define at a social context. But awesome. Cheers, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, definitely.
So yes, you have to take into account the most radical forms of that of these ideas. You know, when it comes to so most gaming platforms don't have to contend with things like ISIS, like radicalization. Now, who says that? Who says that? You know, these young men who are existing within these, you know, are not ultimately being radicalized, and yeah, and who's saying that Twitter is not forming and
Oh
shaping
yeah,
the concepts of radicalization? Who's saying that? You know,
Twitter
who's saying that?
radicalized me, mate.
Yeah. Well, it made you angry. Anyway, that's what it
Yeah.
has the ability to do. And when you get angry, you get you find ways of expressing that anger in a way where, yeah, that
Twitter radicalized Carol too.
what?
What did you say?
What did you say? Manticore,
I
are you
said
radicalizing Carol right
Twitter
now?
radicalized you.
Oh.
No, she's not falling for it.
The difference between, I guess, her and Manticore is that Carol perceives Twitter, perceives the landscape as a game to play, whereas you see the landscape as a real world, for its real world
No,
implications.
it's just entertainment. It's entertainment for me at the end of the day. But I just run with it. Like,
there's deep things to be said about that idea, where how serious we take our entertainment. Is it? Is there not?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Some people want to solve the problems, find solutions to the issues, point out the problem, find solutions. Whereas other people just realize the futile nature of it all. No.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough.
Just watch it.
So, yeah. But their cultural standards, what developers have been trained to do, the feedback loops through which they measure success, that creates a different culture. And when you have opposing cultural ideals, that's when you have and people who are steadfast in their beliefs, people who refuse to budge on their fundamentalities that drive them. Yeah, well, that's when you have a recipe for conflict. It's pretty darn simple. So that creates a different culture. I find that inspiring when it comes to the changing of the guard. So I find some interesting practical thoughts as well. I interviewed a Roblox developer who said that that every time brands come to him and ask him to build something, inevitably their vision is, we want you to build a town square where people gather, and our brand will be all over the place. Yeah, ultimately that's just the corporate motivation, right? It's to be plastered everywhere. To be, no matter where you are, there we are. That's the corporate mentality. Whereas pretty soon, you know, they'll be wanting to be they'll be wanting to be your mind. They'll be wanting to
let me beam into your brain.
Yep.
No,
Don't touch me, Manticore.
Digi dolphin love. No.
Hey.
Yeah, no. We'll have none of that. Yeah.
Beam into you.
Yep.
Snacky bastard.
So yes. So no, you can't do that. This is Roblox. This brand already has an identity, and to incorporate Coca-Cola within the brand of Roblox is, well, that's where the metaverse is changing the landscape. It is allowing, because you've always, I guess it comes down to copyright issues. It comes down to licensing issues in the real world. When you've got video games that ultimately have product placement, it's frowned upon. When you have entertainment and you have real world product placement, there's something cringe about that idea. There's something that
it's so cringe.
You know,
it's like you watch like commercial television and like kids shows, like, and they incorporate all the toy ads into the show commercial time slots, and like it's like
that's more acceptable, isn't it? It's more acceptable to sell toys.
No, it's just the norm. Like it's just the norm.
Yeah.
Like,
it's part of the cultural programming. It's things that we find acceptable, and we don't even understand why we find it acceptable or not acceptable. Yeah, because it's been deeply embedded culturally into an understanding but to see a smoking advert in there are lines that are culturally, there are lines that we already abide by. So the metaverse is opening, like I was going to say, the metaverse is opening up this landscape where these digital environments are so close to the real world that even these product placements are acceptable. sponsorships, monetary gain from the ability to display advertisement, or is in a metaversal context is already happening, where you've got the Nike building in Decentraland, or you've got the Core Comics building in Decentraland. Like, there's no difference there. It was still the idea of what represents a company, albeit a corporation. Yeah, that's logo, that's branding, exists within that digital space, and to have to be at a place where that's acceptable is something something very interesting. Yeah. So it's interesting that people have this misconception about what people want to do in the metaverse. What would you? I'll open it up to you guys. I'll open it up to the chat, and I'll open it up to the panel. What would you want to do in the metaverse?
Zombies.
Zombies?
Mm-hmm. It's my go-to.
So you want a Westworld type scenario where
I didn't see
not in the
Walking Dead.
You want that's what I'm saying. You want a simulated zombie apocalypse scenario. That
Apocalypse.
Yeah, give me the zombies.
Cool.
But I don't want the fast ones. I want just the normal ones.
You just want the walkers rather than the.
Yeah, I don't want World War Z zombies.
No.
No, I just want normal, predictable zombies.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be about the zombies in the end. It's going to be about rebuilding everything else. And the zombies, they just happen to be there.
There's games that exist like that already. Like DayZ. You've got.
I played Days Gone.
Days Gone.
And
where there's survival. But let's get to the core element of that, Carol. What is driving that idea? Whether you want a simulated. Is it the simulated apocalyptic scenario that is tantalizing your?
I guess.
Is it?
But I really want zombies. I want people's faces to get eaten.
Carol,
I'm sorry. It's not.
But so would it just be? I like anonymous. I like anonymous approach. Everything,
bro.
Everything.
Yeah.
No, go on.
Yeah. I want one of everything.
What are we talking about?
I'm just saying what the ideal metaversal experience would be for you. Imagine a metaversal experience where you have a 9-to-5 job.
No, ew.
Yeah, that'd be wicked.
Would it be more tantalizing? Would it be more tantalizing to have a 9-to-5 job existing entirely in a where you didn't have to get in your car?
No.
So that wouldn't get you out of bed?
No.
No.
Why would I want to digitally get out of bed to go to work? No. If I have that option to be in a digital world, I want my freaking zombies. I don't want to go to the fucking store and work.
Anonymous dude says, I want to be a Ninja Turtle. I want to take Vanessa Hudgens out for tacos. I want to play one-on-one with LeBron James. Be a duck. Too random.
Fuck yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be my list. Something like that. It'd be all that stuff. Like anything you can think of.
I want to travel the universe. I want to I want a simulation within a simulation of the universe and have the ability to have all these wonderful technologies that aren't currently within our grasp to be able to simulate those technologies. And I just want to go on a spaceship, bro, is really what I want. All right.
Okay.
Take a look around, Smirk. Is that not where you are right now?
Hi, Prime.
Oh, well, that's true, Prime.
Greetings, Carol. Greetings, Metaphor. And greetings, Anonymous.
He's quiet.
Greetings, Prime.
He's quiet, you say.
Listening contently. Well, he was up until that point.
He's taking it all in.
I mean, he's been quiet.
So, just building a town square may not work if you're going to spend 12 hours a day in the metaverse. How much of that will be gaming and how much might be other stuff? Define other stuff. Yeah, there we go. Immersive Star Wars experience. Yes, I guess I would love to be a Jedi. Or a Sith, or put aside doctrine and just explore the universe with some sort of lightsaber would be kind of cool. Prime, you going to be my lightsaber?
Oh, absolutely. All colors of the array.
So there you go. There you go. Sweet. So let me just... anything you guys want to add?
Not at this stage, no.
Because I guess what it comes down to, Carol.
What?
I guess what it comes down to is when you're given limitless imagination, what do you come up with? What do you do when you have no limitations placed upon you? What do you do?
Anything you like.
Anything at all. The world and universe is at your fingertips. No need to be afraid.
I agree.
Beef in the taco says, what about a universe where you're the beef in the taco?
The beef in the taco.
Taco, burrito, taco.
Carol is taking our hand down a dark path right now.
I am not.
What are you doing there?
I'm
Not you.
I'm
You're
right
giggling.
here.
Fucking
Right
giggling.
there.
Of course, there. Yeah. That's what I was talking about before. Where if given unlimited potential within a digital construct, how much of that would spill over into the real world? How much would that? Yeah.
I saw a good quote the other day. I put it in the Discord. It was, what was it? It was like, I think I said it. We shape our tools and thereafter our tools shape us. John Colkin, 1967.
I couldn't agree more, Manticore.
Interesting. Huh.
What?
So there's so much to unpack there.
How much beef you put in there in the first place?
Got beef? You beefing right now?
Got
Where's
beef?
the beef?
You've got beef, Carol?
I don't got no beef.
I don't know about that. What is
I've got your number.
Agree to disagree, I suppose. What is a town square? The answer might be the Fortnite lobby. I guess it's the 30 seconds in a Call of Duty match before we jump into the that battle royale experience. That's the one. A place where you are with friends and you might be involved in some kind of activity, but it doesn't have a simulacrum town square per se. So right now we have a pretty empty town square, but order and chaos in the town square, if you will.
This person here.
The nature of most tech is that we start with simulations. In the early iPhone, the Notepad app was yellow with red lines. The calendar had digits like physical diary. The game center was a blackjack table with green felt. We start by applying the concepts that we know. I don't think a literal town square has much utility, much like lots of these virtual real estate platforms. But a social place for congregation does make sense. This is where we might see the fundamental difference between the last 15 years of product design and the next 15 years. Traditional social services and common platforms tell you that your primary motive should be minimizing clicks to purchase. Yes. Everybody knows that. Yeah. It's just a single click that can lose someone or keep someone. So the idea that you would create a lobby in something like Fortnite where you actually don't play, but you're not exactly stuck not playing, you're trying on outfits. I can see the concept where the lobby element where there isn't any activity actually going on within that. Yeah. They were pretty successful. You got things like PlayStation Home, for example. Do you remember? Nobody remember PlayStation Home? Well, there's
I remember it.
You remember PlayStation Home?
Hmm?
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. But there was a literal like there was nothing to do in a sense, but there was but it was like a lobby before you could head off to your activity.
Like old PC games, like used to have it too. Like everyone would like drop into the lobby and like, or like Among Us has got it. Like everyone goes into like the little like thing.
Yeah, pre-lobby before the
like
game.
shade change. Yeah, you can change your outfit or your skin and like do all that sort of shit.
So you're trying on outfits, you're talking with one another, you're waiting for them to ready up. It's counter to traditional UX where you would say, let's get them into the match as soon as possible. It's also that experience that works to tell you how different social gaming is from just Candy Crush. The traditional experience where the menu is just a necessary evil to get you to the gameplay. It's half the point when you play Fortnite. So GamesBeat says it's interesting how gaming is sometimes more like the excuse to join something. When I played a lot of Warzone during the pandemic, I realized that what I was enjoying was just chatting with my friends while we played. We couldn't do that in real life at the time, so that was more interesting. The game was an excuse to do that. Anonymous says, don't get me started on tacos, bro.
Taco flavors kisses.
So, there's an example that Tim Sweeney used at SIGGRAPH in 2018 or 2019. He talked about how men in particular, because of societal norms, really need a permission structure to hang out together. God damn. They say you got to check in with your missus in order to hang out with the lads.
What are you trying to say, mate? I don't think so.
So there's something perceived to be weird about me just saying, hey, Dean, you want to come over at 11 on Sunday? You'd say, why? To do what? If I just said, come over. Come over. Well, we all know what that would be. That would be, it'd be a bit weirder to be like,
why are you gay?
Why are you gay?
So, but men in particular, and now that's why you get the idea of come over and watch a football game. No, the idea that Dean will come over at 11 in the morning and stay until 5 in the afternoon while we sit with each other. That makes sense. So, you want to go hang out at a Comic-Con?
Sure. Let's go.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
You ever been?
They've been?
I've been.
You have or you have not?
I went to the Walker Stalker convention.
Okay.
The what?
For The Walking Dead. It just happened to be there.
Oh, okay.
I was in Atlanta.
Just happened to be there.
No, really. We were already going to be there. We had no idea that the convention was going to be there the same weekend we were there.
I thought it was an added bonus.
Yeah, and we got free tickets. So.
Wicked.
Yeah. But yeah,
I've never been. No, we don't have much convention sort of stuff here. Like you do occasionally at like showgrounds and that. Like we get something, but not very often.
I used to go to a lot of tattoo conventions too. They're interesting.
To leave with a free tattoo?
No, I mean it's all like the artists, but they're the ones making the money. They don't have to kick anything back to the shop owner.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
And they have, sideshow freaks and stuff like that. And lots of
Sideshow
weird stuff.
freaks.
Yeah, like the fire breathers, the sword swallowers, and people that hammer nails into their faces. Those cool people.
Sword swallowers.
Yep. I like the dude 123. He can stuff.
Robert Kirkman. Yeah.
Because he likes.
You can stay for now. Until I have to. But don't make me.
You don't need any encouragement to do that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to hurt people. I have a problem. I need an intervention.
Intervention.
Pew pew intervention.
Shampoo.
Speaking of shampoo, where's Ryan Cardinal and Scree?
I know, right?
Where's
the
Milton?
usuals aren't showing up.
Lost in the Scree.
I don't like my metaverse.
I haven't seen Milton for ages.
All the other people. Dillard.
Dillard was on Rex's stream earlier. I think he's got a headache.
Oh. And stuff. Where's Darius?
I don't know.
Where's Moira? All you bitches are talking.
It's like we exist in an
was-
alternate dimension today.
She was streaming earlier, Moira.
Yeah, I know. I was there. I told her where we would be.
Yeah, you weren't.
I was in her chat.
Oh, okay.
Where I was. I know where I was. I was there. It was me.
Do you really?
I didn't leave the house today. Yes, I did. But I knew where I went.
Do you know where you went?
I don't know. I know I was in Moira's chat. She was planting things.
Planting things. Seeds.
And
What's she planting?
vegetables. I think tomatoes, and bok choy, and something that she wasn't at liberty to tell us, but apparently is very hard to grow.
It'd be poppy seeds, all right? Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
One of those. Tomato plants.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what he's tried.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was there. And I told her we'd be here. Oh, there's... wasn't my turn to watch them.
All right, smoke.
Can we do something spooky? Just like
what?
Just
I'll do
one
something
little spooky.
Well, you don't like the metaverse?
No, I do. I just want something, one little spookiness. Please. On their mind.
3 hours in. I dare say we're going to get to the end of this article today. I hope. I can hope.
You're optimistic.
I am. We are just over halfway into it, so. But maybe I can skim through because they're just going on about meta cafes and they're going on about this social experience. Roblox is talking about.
Yeah, I don't like the meta cafe bullshit.
So, okay, we see a lot of stated openness. Roblox is talking about how they can interoperate. They're open sourcing some of their scripting languages. Last week, we saw the establishment of Metaverse Standards Forum, boring, with more than 30 giants all committing to the establishment of standards. We saw 2 of the 5 GAFAM companies, Meta and Microsoft, alongside NVIDIA, Unity, and Epic. So they're all the big, they're the big players. And the big gaming engine developers as well. Because there's one thing to, have the gaming companies like Meta and Microsoft, even Microsoft themselves, but NVIDIA, Unity, and Epic are the ones who are developing software in order to bring down the game creation level to even further closer and closer to a consumer level. And that's important when it comes to this interoperable nature. The more smaller companies that can get their hands on entering into the metaversal space, the more the better off everything is going to be in the long run. Personally, I think anyway. Three of the most important names when it comes to building the metaverse, of course. I'm hopeful that users want it. It's best for society. Our experience in the world economy and the internet at large suggests that it's an arc, an arc of most, if not all, technologies. And we're seeing clear efforts to build it. Here we go. So is it hard? Yes, extremely hard. Extremely difficult to bring it down to that consumer level to like closer and closer to the consumer level where everyday people can build real world based experiences and integrate it into the metaverse. So for sure, are we going to be disappointed by elements of it? Yeah, of course. Will it ever be perfect? No,
Yes.
but I am hopeful.
No.
So, but there is plenty of capital being raised and plenty of investments happening. One of the things that changes the landscape of this all as well is the fact that the capital, the investments, aren't coming from giant conglomerates, big giant ass corporations that are making that are basically giving these developers lots of money. It's coming from like a crowdsourced, almost a crowd-funded level where general consumers are purchasing the assets which ultimately provide these companies with the capital to innovate. Which that you don't see that. You don't see that. So here is NFT blockchain private placements. Right, so I am seeing a lot of this stuff. Yeah, Engine plays a big role in it. Dapper as well. I've seen a lot of stuff coming out of them but there are gradually, slowly but surely, more and more bigger companies coming to the table, investing money in these companies, in these developer companies to for them to succeed in that realm and to establish experiences which go on to define what the metaverse is. Anonymous Dude says, quick story. A lady was in a border control VR simulation. In the game, she was asked to kneel down and had a gun to her head. Her mind felt the real gravity of that situation. VR can feel very real. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Even simpler examples like people like going like simulators where they're like in a mountain or somewhere high up and they get vertigo. They would if they were actually in the situation. No.
Yeah. Do you want those?
What's that one where you're scared of the ocean and stuff? Like
I do.
Plasmorphia or what is it? Yeah. Or I don't know what they call it. Because it triggers the same responses as being there.
Uh-huh. So, what do you think about the opportunity for blockchain to be part of it? Does it run the risk of being bypassed because of what we've mentioned before, or the scams and such? Most gold rushes are filled with scams and malcontents. The Klondike rush was quite real. That doesn't mean you wouldn't encounter faulty shovels that would be sold to you in your rush to start digging. When I was using the internet in the early 90s, it was impossible to convince my parents to use their credit card there. Not because they were unfamiliar with it, but because it did abound with scams. You didn't have established providers like PayPal, Square, or Stripe like we do now. So that's the worst part. You can't get into the into the experience at a social media level without being bombarded by bots. That's the pitfall of it.
Yeah.
As soon as you become associated with a community and you jump on a list of people involved, you're ultimately going to get bombarded with with scam accounts and bots. So when it comes to blockchain technology, it's always interesting to read how gamers feel about it, or rather, game developers. They acutely understand what it does and does not provide. The technology they need is permissionless and interoperable, but that doesn't mean that doesn't get you anywhere near interoperable assets. That requires code and code frameworks, none of which is encapsulated in the JPEG, whether it's stored in IPFS or not. So where I get excited about blockchain is the deep decentralized services you can provide. Is it a potential solution to peer-to-peer multiplayer services? Not right now, and maybe not ever. But we all agree that solving for that is going to be key to scaling the metaverse. Can it be a potential solution into decentralized provision of spare computing resources? The idea that xCloud data center is 500 miles from me, but there's an Xbox Series X upstairs that I don't have access to, and it could potentially facilitate that connection. That's interesting too. Yeah, I suppose. Talking about the metaverse as a multi-trillion-dollar part of the economy, that's ultimately where where I see it could potentially be heading. What it can provide economically, bridging gaps, where physical travel would be a necessity. And providing real experiences. People who desire those experiences. So, for a system that today is that where I was? Sorry, Jensen Huang talked about half of the world's GDP eventually being in the metaverse. Can blockchain and smart contracts play an important role in modernizing capital formation for a system that today is very discriminatory, that has security flaws? That is awkward and hard to enforce. I'm hopeful there, but time will tell. And those, hey. And those things are a lot more interesting to me than the cryptocurrency and token speculation for NFTs.
Check out Artifice Re-Animate, link in the description.
Yes. Name of the first one is Time Will Tell. Yeah. The real-time internet part is really difficult, and you can think about it. Yeah. So let's see. Was there anything interesting there in that? No. So the real-time internet part is really difficult, and you can think about it in three different ways. Number one, we have hundreds of billions of dollars in infrastructure that has already been invested. So that's where we're leaps and bounds ahead. It's that the infrastructure, the metaversal infrastructure, is already there in the blockchain, in the open source blockchain community, for sure. It's very costly and often geographically and sometimes politically impractical to overhaul that. So it's a good thing that that infrastructure is already built and established. Luckily, but who knows where it could all who knows what could happen once these big players come into the game.
Time will tell, as I say.
Second, the Internet Protocol Suite itself was not designed for real-time synchronous connectivity. We can supplement TCP and IP. It also requires pretty widespread adoption by various carriers, modems, routers, network node operators. Having that happen comprehensively is difficult. The third is the business case for this very diffuse. But this is very diffuse, partly because social products thrive. Hey, that's what we all don't want to see. But I guess it's inevitable.
Go away.
Yeah. Just having 10% of national networks improve for real time. Epic are right. They're probably not going to build to optimize for that. It's more important to have an acceptable product with more users. Yeah, that's really hard. That's one of these things that's something that the social networks already have over the blockchain landscape is that they already have a user base. They already have established that infrastructure. So the XR devices, to me, are fascinating. We know that Meta has kicked out its first consumer AR glasses 3 times this decade. In 2015, Mark said that by the end of the decade, we would replace smartphones with wearables. We're seeing that this is a really tough problem. I find that gamers have the best appreciation for this. We all understand the constraints around a console. Can you mass produce it? Can the cost be roughly $500? Can we convince people to buy it? And then what do we not really need to worry about? We don't need to worry about the battery life because it's always connected. Size only has to be small enough to fit under a credenza. The PS5 is 4 times larger than the first PlayStation, and no one minds. Yeah. That's always been an issue.
Yeah, well, the PS5 is like as big as a computer tower now. It's like a unit,
right? Yeah, and it's sold in such yeah. Yes, but you always get the slims and stuff. Eventually, inevitably. Yeah. So the PlayStation 5 is 4 times larger than the first PlayStation, and no one minds. We don't need to manage for heat. We cram enormous fans in them, and we sit several feet away. So when it comes to understanding and confusion around the metaverse, what do you think about that? You went to a lot of trouble talking about definitions of the metaverse and what parts of it are necessary, like 3D and so forth. But I do hear a lot of people saying that the metaverse will fail because they get sick when they put the VR headset on. There's that basic assumption about what it is. Do you find yourself...
How common is that, though?
What's that?
Like motion sickness from VR. I guess it'd be fairly common for them to mention it.
I don't get it. Not at all.
I haven't had a real full-on VR experience where I can tell. Like, I've played around with it on
I've sat there for hours on end with the VR headset on. And,
the PlayStation one I've had.
Yep. But as those experiences get closer and closer to reality, because when you're in there, you can always tell. There's always that disconnect between reality and you're in a simulation. But how soon we are to the mind being tricked that it's not an actuality is I'd say we're getting pretty close to that point, though. They've narrowed down the parameters in which which need to be refined, and they've classified them, and put them into their own sections so that they can work on refining it down further and further. But so it is only a matter of time. It's only a matter of a couple of years, and then getting that down to a consumer grade product, and an affordable consumer grade product. Yeah, that'll be the test, because you can spend thousands of dollars on a VR headset, right now, but it still doesn't cut it.
Nah, like even the Oculus, is it the Oculus? Like that's even that. Like there's a standalone version and there's a wired version, but like it still has its limitations. There'll be something better that'll come along.
Well,
Seemingly what Zuckerberg and Meta are working on at the moment will lead the way.
Probably. They bought Oculus. Meta owns Oculus. That's who's going to be that's who's going to be paving the way.
We read that article about a month ago about Zuckerberg and like the new iterations of headsets that they're working on.
So one of the interesting things at this point in time is we're all so much more knowledgeable about platform shifts. 20 years ago, no one talked about disruption. Yeah. That's ultimately what blockchain is a disruptive technology, and it ruffles the feathers of those
until Carol came along.
What do you mean?
What did I do?
I'm joking. Disruption.
Oh, disruption. Oh, okay.
Hashtag blame it. How do I do that? So-
So now it's a consumer-friendly term. We lived through Yahoo, MySpace, Blockbuster. We know what happened to Facebook through the acquisition of Instagram. We're seeing a very public rush to the next computing platform. Seems like we're all trapped though in the current social network
The
space
same
that
old
we
paradigm.
all exist in. Everybody wants to leave Twitter, but will they leave Twitter? No. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to.
Never.
Everybody wants Facebook to go the way of MySpace, but will it? Not by the looks of it. Yes. So we're seeing a very public rush to the next computing platform, but I don't think it's here yet. No, because a certain company has taken advantage of the ability to rebrand itself. That's the still the same infrastructure, still the same people involved in producing it, but just that's what I fear the most about Facebook taking control of all this stuff is that we already know what they're like, so
yeah dodgy.
Yeah. Vic the K says
some things take time to adapt. Oh, you want to read that first? Go for it.
Yeah, I'll go Vic first. Vic the K says, what drove Zuckerberg into going on Metaverse? Obviously, he saw the viability and he saw the monetary incentive to go there. He wanted to monopolize the frontier of the digital space. Unless he's incorporating these these fundamental elements of the metaverse, like decentralized distributed ledgers and totally revolutionizing the economic space, that is the most interesting part to people. And and he essentially just wants to create a more updated, immersive experience of the town square and extract as much wealth and value as possible from people. So yeah, that's Zuckerberg for it. Some things just take time to adapt. People thought Amazon Alexas were excessive. Now everyone has one. Yeah, there's an inevitable
Google Home.
Yeah. Those technologies
Something along
ultimately
that Siri.
Yeah, go on.
No, I was just the different iterations. Like there's numerous ones now. Like I had a Google Home for a while, and that thing was just as weird as Alexa.
Don't you wake her up. She's sleeping.
Anonymous says, I do miss Blockbuster and arcades. What?
What? What about Carol?
See if we can activate Carol's Alexa.
You can.
I totally get it.
Do random stuff.
Right. Hey Alexa, play the Game of Thrones theme. There you go.
You weren't loud enough.
Nah. Jagged.
Try it again.
So, Ruth through Yahoo, MySpace, the metaverse is still going to unfold over the coming decade. That naturally leads to whipsawing. What's the role of blockchain? The role of VR hardware is also debatable. We're having this very public debate as to what exactly is and is not the metaverse. Indeed. Well, I think that at its fundamental, and I don't know if you guys think anything along the same lines, but having that blockchain element and totally revolutionizing the economic landscape of the globe is something that I'm highly interested in. Removing the need for central banks, removing the need for an intermediary middleman is a necessity as far as I'm concerned. Taking the digital currency landscape to the next level, making sure that it's free and open and independent from any nefarious forces that seek to control the entirety of it, monopolize it, is important to me. So, what's going to be required? What isn't? Should we evaluate success based on Meta, on Oculus, on NFTs, and so forth? That's unique. We didn't do this in earlier days. In the end, it's going to come down to the products that are built over decades. It's no mistake that the two forerunners in the space, Nvidia and Epic, have been focused since the early 90s, even if they were unknown to most. One of the most interesting things about VR is that, from my perspective, it's not a requirement for the metaverse. Not in its fundamental form, but if you're going to have an experience, an immersive experience, it's either going to come down to VR or AR, augmented reality, or virtual reality. Don't you think, Carol?
I think
There was talk hologram stuff recently too.
You're breaking up there, Mescal.
The technology is advanced. The animation is playing out. I just stopped talking for a minute.
Huh. So, but it's not a requirement. We saw an interesting thread from Neil Stevenson the other day where he pointed out that yes, his versions of the metaverse was AR and VR and AR centric, and that was a reasonable hypothesis at the time. But what else could it? How else could it manifest itself? You know? It's either you've got like something that's seamless, like integrated into the seamlessness of reality, or you've got an entirely separate simulated experience. Take your pick. So not many people were online. No more than 15 million in the United States. The idea that billions of people would immerse themselves. Say again?
5 million, that's nothing. Like it's
15 million. No, it's nothing, you know. Yeah. The idea that billions of people would immerse themselves in a simulated environment with WASD or tapping primitive touchscreen. This is when the Newton was in development, was impossible. In 2022, we know that hundreds of millions of people do that daily. Billions of people do that on a quarterly basis. Virtual reality is an opportunity for debate, not a strict requirement for the metaverse to emerge. I disagree. I believe VR is the key to the metaverse, the key to it. So as you did the research here, do you find particular individuals who were interesting on this subject across the decades? Well, it's funny you should bring this up, says Bull, because the top citation I have in my book is Tim Sweeney's Twitter. And then the second is you. That's because you both have been talking about this longer than anyone else I know as a specific theme. Of course, there are those like Wagner James AU, who's been talking about Second Life and virtual communities for decades. Phil Rosendale has been as well, but the metaverse as a specific opportunity, you two have been talking about it since 2014 or 2015. It's interesting as a specific lens into non-buzzword contemplation, but also a very clear history of evolving thinking. For example, I would summarize that Tim, like many others, was more imminent. That than it turned out to be a few years ago. Yeah, it happened fast. It happened so much faster than I even anticipated that it would. So I saw 10 years and I was like, positioning myself potentially 10 years in the future for it to all go down. But 5 years later, here we are. All the big companies are jumping in. Everyone's looking in the direction of the metaverse, how things can become more interoperable with infrastructure pre-built, how existing technologies can be implemented. They're all having the conversations now. Everybody's racing towards earning a piece of that pie. So you
get their fingers in there in the pie.
Yeah. You can also see that perspectives on what the hard technology problems are have changed over the years. He's become increasingly skeptical of blockchain technology. Interesting, partly because it has shifted from engineering development and projects into financial speculation. That's so true. At least the main tokens involved with blockchain have shifted into a very speculative realm, where the stability of that speculation is always up in the air. But the infrastructure is already there. Doesn't matter what the price of Ethereum is. What the infrastructure is doing and what it's allowing people to achieve is next level. So, for those who've been the most illuminating sources, far more important than any talking points used today. Here we go. Here comes the summary. So, what do you think some of these estimates that folks have come up with? You did the Metaverse ETF, but it must be interesting to see estimates from the likes of McKinsey, from Citi, and others talking about trillions of dollars now. Yeah, that's right. The market cap of the crypto community has it's been dipping above and dipping below. $1 trillion for quite some time now. So it's an interesting question. Tim Sweeney and Mark Zuckerberg have been quoted saying they believe this is a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. And there's your answer, Vic, as to why Zuckerberg is jumping into it.
Yeah, he's got dollar signs.
That means that, yeah. So that means that a minimum it's probably 3 to 5% of the world's GDP, and that's also another reason. Yeah, so they are producing value from nothing, and the ability to produce value from nothing, and produce new sustainable ecosystems, and are just another place to shove adverts, right? Yeah. No. Jensen, yeah, pretty much. No. But if we say that's 2040, that means the economy of the metaverse would be in excess of $70 trillion. McKinsey says $5 trillion. PwC, KPMG, Citibank, Goldman Sachs, all of the big financial institutions, they've all placed estimates between 8 trillion and 13 trillion by 2030 or 2032. And that's by the end of the decade or the decade henceforth. Ultimately, the answer is unknowable, and that's ironic, isn't it? Because the entirety of the idea of it has become speculative. And once there are certainties and facts around this, that ultimately that's where your stabilization of the entirety of this will come about. So while it is so speculative, while people are dipping their toes in from the fringe rather than, Meta has dived headfirst into rebranding themselves, preparing themselves for this inevitable future, I guess. Anonymous Dude says, I'm very impressed with Fortnite and Candy Crush and how Metaverse virtual architects are looking to them for inspiration. For sure. So yes, the answer is unknowable, I guess, at the end of the day. It's a speculative market, as all markets are speculative. There are people moving in the right direction though to make that move away from the speculative aspect to a more definitive and solid future. But that's where we get to the core point, which is that if the metaverse is the next frontier for computing and networking, we expect that companies who lead it will have disproportionate influence over the global economy. And you can obviously see that's another reason why Facebook has, because they were losing their sway, their public perception, they're losing their way with the masses, but ultimately they're seeking to assert total control and domination over the metaverse and monopolization. Yeah. They can see an opportunity, and if they can invest their billions, then they will become right. Yeah. So if the metaverse is even 2 trillion by 2027, will be tens of percentage points of growth in the global economy. That means those companies will be the most highly rewarded by shareholders, gaining the largest multiples. They'll attract much of the best talent. That's what it is. Anybody who can set themselves up to become a magnet for innovation is going to be the pioneers to lead the way. So the business models will start to reshape the world at large. In particular, if you back out GDP growth that comes from staple goods such as refrigerators, cars, food, energy, which are extraordinarily large but drop off every year, we see an even greater share of the global growth in the economy.
Economy.
So yeah, that's that. All right. So apologies about the 4-hour-long spiel, but that stuff's important to me. I want to gradually start shifting towards that direction.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
Smart people stuff.
Yeah. So I guess we can wrap it up early, or if you want to
do spooky.
We can save them for another day. We'll save them for another day. Yeah, I think I might wrap up for the day. But cheers everybody who stuck around out there, and yeah, no problem. And had fun with it. And yeah, remember to like and subscribe. We'll continue doing our thing. Coming into the Discord to have a bit of fun. Yeah, always something happening in there. Yeah. Apart from that, as usual, take care, everyone.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Ciao, chat.
Have a good one.
Bye.